Good afternoon, party people. Happy Friday, and welcome to another SLE show match. It is Y versus Y. It's Ying versus Y. It's Red versus Red. Savage, GU, we've got a banger of a game today, and I want to know what you guys are thinking of it.
I am so hyped to be here once again. I mean, it's always great to have show matches with Gucci, especially when I'm joined by the godfathers of Gucci, with both you and Savage.
Yeah.
And I'm also just hyped to see Wacky Race for the first time with the Y roster.
Yeah, Wacky Wraiths. With the Y roster, we have seen Yin play against the X squad, and they took them down in comfortable fashion. It was a 3-0, I believe. So this time around, it's going to be the other Wacky Wraiths camp. And this time, it's familiar faces. I think the other roster are more new players. These guys, field players like Jin, who we saw last split, and Robbery, who was a very impressive jungler in the most recent SLE tournament. So I think this Wacky Wraiths roster might be more known to some people, but I think both Wacky Wraiths roster are quite equal in skill level. I don't think personally I would be able to differentiate which one's significantly stronger than the other, but there is one key factor that a lot of people are talking about, and more specifically hyped about. It is, I don't know how to say his name, I think it's Butner?
Goodna.
Butner. Butner in the bot lane has got everyone's attention, and I mean, I'm hoping one of you guys can give some information on this player and why he's so hyped up.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of Gucci players preparing for the split, and all of them are actually very excited to see Butner, saying that he's one of the most skilled AD carries going into this SLE split, one of the most skilled newcomers, and me as well, and as an ADC main, I'm quite excited to see what this guy can bring to the table.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to watch what he can do, and I think there's always a thing about coming in as a rookie and coming in with expectations. I think when it comes to the SLE, it's such a tight-knit community and everyone knows each other. Coming in as a rookie, it's very uncommon to be so highly rated and so anticipated coming into the league. And I think, like, Giu, I don't know if you can give some opinions on how highly that speaks of a player.
I mean, there is always some expectations, and we have seen it in previous splits. I think there has been rookies that have been hyped up. However, I think with Bittner, this is like pretty much a standout case. I think he has talent, that's for sure, and I think he also has a team to back that talent. So this could be a star-stacked roster, really, that Wacky Raves has put together.
Could be a star-stacked roster indeed, and actually want to throw some more attention over to the rest of the map for this Wacky Wraiths Y roster, because we've seen Jin and Robbery before, and you know, I said earlier, Robbery, very well-respected player, very well-rated player, but Jin last split definitely had a shaky performance, and I think during the regular split, I think a lot of people were saying that he's solid, but towards the playoffs, it started dipping. I think they didn't even end up qualifying for the playoffs, but towards the run for playoffs, it started dipping really heavily, where it was 9 or 10 death kill counts. So, what do we want to see from this mid jungle from Wacky Race to turn that ship around?
Yeah, Yuzhin, I think, was playing ADC at the beginning of the split, and then switched over to the mid lane after some role swaps. And last split, I would hope that it's more of getting used to the role. I hope the level he showed last split isn't necessarily showing, isn't like telling a lot about his level this split. I hope that he has gained a lot of experience, and together with Robbery, which I think was the best part of that squad last split. I hope they're gonna bring much more than they did last time around. But yeah, it's still yet to see. I won't believe it until I see it.
Yeah, definitely. And I do really think that this Wacky Wraiths roster, Yuzhin having more experience in mid lane, will be coming in as a very strong squad. So let's throw over to their opponents. And you know, me and Mikis, we know a lot about these guys. And you've casted them once before already, and I think what in your opinion are some of the more exciting aspects to this roster?
Well, because we already had like this little talk about like rookies that are hyped up. When EB was first found, Kim was the most hyped up rookie I have ever seen, basically, for the EB roster. And now he has like established himself in SLE, and he's on probably one of the most competitive rosters in this entire split. And so I'm happy to just see him be there. And then the rest of the roster is also completely ungodly. Parka, insane player. Tim Chef. I have no words for what he can do. And that goes for like every single one of the members. And I think yeah. I said it the last cast already. And I think I'll say it again. This Gucci roster has title ambitions for sure.
It definitely does, and when you take a look at the names, I think like when we were putting together this team, we kind of realized that it was building up to be this like a mix of experience and unproven quantities. So Obsidian and Kim Jensen have played SLE before. Obsidian actually a SLE finalist, and Kim Jensen was part of that Eternal Blizzard roster. So those two have SLE pedigree, and everyone around them. I mean, Wiggy's just played SLE before. These guys amongst the amateur scene, despite them being kind of rookies, Zench and Sheffer do actually have a reputation, and they are names coming into this. And I think if you speak to a lot of people and ask them opinions of Zench and Sheffer and kind of all these players, they will often speak quite highly about them. So I think that just all in all makes for an exciting roster. I think one thing from my perspective that this team could potentially struggle with is that they have so much firepower on an individual basis that going into team play, this is where it's kind of testing the waters for them. I think a lot of the games that they have won, and if you watch the Wacky Wraiths X series again, a lot of the games they win is because they're just individually performing better than their opponents. Whereas when it comes to the mid game, this is a potential area that teams can exploit because it's kind of like, you know, I have experience on being with a dominant roster where alongside Savage, where it's like you're so used to just winning lanes that like you never ever have to practice or think about a potential scenario where your lanes don't win. And as soon as we got to a game where we were kind of matched in lanes and we had to transition into the mid game at an even state, we were almost confused. We were a bit like, oh, what's going on? Can we not just roll over them completely? And so I could see a very similar scenario with this team of like when it comes to approaching that mid game and taking calculated fights as if like you're not miles ahead, that could be where this team struggles.
Yeah, and I think there is some teams that definitely have the potential to tackle that. We have been kind of memeing Greasy Goblins dropping in the power rankings after the last few show matches, but they're still a really like coordinated and like organized team in a way because they know each other for so long, and I think that's something that could be a tough force to face for Gucci Yin. However, I think we will find out like how this Gucci roster is going to perform during the split. I think the show matches are great insight, but I don't think they will be all too significant once the split starts.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree, and I think well, as we've already touched on, I think this Wacky Wraiths X roster, one of the most exciting things is seeing how Robbery and Yuzjin come back and elevate their performance from last split. You know, as much as we did slightly criticize Yuzjin, I think there were signs of life, and actually at the start of the split, and when I played against him in what was it, the Manta Cup, I actually thought he was quite a mechanically gifted player. So I think there is definitely potential for him to turn into a very strong player. And also, I've just seen in the Twitch chat, Boring Gangplank, thank you very much for the sub. And gifting. Oh no, you gifted a sub. Great stuff, lad. Keep going. Thank you very much. Anyway, I don't know if I was supposed to do that. It's fine.
Of course.
Yep. But yeah, this Wacky Wraiths Y roster, I think I'm very excited to see how they can improve from the last split. And I think one addition they've added is K's Maze. Now, Mikis, you know from scrimming against this guy multiple times, give us a little bit of insight on this player and why he could potentially be a threat.
I mean, with Linus moving into a sub position, I think Case Maze is kind of taking this mythical German top laner name crown off of him, because Linus was always known for champions like Ilawi, right? And if he didn't get Ilawi, he would again go for something different. What Casemate is known for is absolutely stellar performance on a Scion. I like to this day. I think I still think that I've seen his account somewhere in Masters or Grandmaster. I'm not sure if I saw that account back in season 8 or whatever. That being said, he's a Scion master. I still think he's like top 20 Scion player in EU West. So I would assume this champion gets banned away from him. But once he gets banned, he has a secondary pick coming in, Volibear, and he's kind of a two-trick in a way for those two champions. I'm still excited to see what else can he play. And yeah, I think he might be challenged in the draft today as well. So still an exciting player to see, and skilled individual contending for that top 5 top laner in SLE role list.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm super excited to see how Casemate progresses throughout the split. I think more importantly, I mean, we've seen many champion specialists begin their career in the SLE, and as they've played out through a split towards the end, they turn into this top laner who can play different functions within a roster and utilize different champions. So I think Casemate is probably one of the best out there in the amateur scene that you put into a position where, you know, maybe he might have to adapt to certain scenarios a bit better, and I think he'll be perfectly fine in that sense. And yeah, as you touched on, those scrims we had against him quite a while ago, his Scion is absolutely terrifying, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's gonna automatically draw bans if you're scared of it. You don't want to put an OTP on that Scion. You're gonna draw bans from it. As we're headed into the draft now. Yeah, we've seen a few show matches now, and it's kind of been all over the place. A lot of teams testing things out, showing off certain parts of their play, and some teams kind of having fun. Maybe drafting Aphelios top or full Freljord composition, thinking it's TFT or something. And this time around, do we expect something for fun, or are these guys going to take this completely serious?
I hope we see some fun in the third game, but I think the first 2 games is just the teams trying to one up each other and just like going completely head to head.
Yeah, I would agree. That's something we also saw in these games.
Previous show matches. The first 2 games are usually competitive and like serious, but in game 3, teams sometimes do a little bit more reckless stuff. If it's a 2-0 already going in, I think if it's a 1-1 going in game 3, we might see three very well contested games, and we see. I think we're gonna have a Scion going through the draft against Casemate.
Yep, that's the Scion being left open, and actually both of his specialist champions, and I'm going to be interested to see if he just wants to blind pick that completely. I think it's kind of like back in the day when I had a smaller champion pool, and it was basically just the yellow bird. Like, whenever it was open, I was just like, just pick it, you know. So like, regardless of matchup. So I'm kind of curious to see if Casemate follows a similar mindset, but. Yep, it's the Ivan locked in, the best. Basically, a lot of people are saying this is the strongest jungler on the patch, with Jarvan being banned out. So Wacky Wraiths will take the Ivan, and Yin now have the R1, R2 to respond. And I can imagine they'll pick either a ADC and jungler or a support and jungler. So yeah, what can we expect from the Yin squad here? Actually,
the Nico hover.
Nico.
I mean, Nico is showing up quite well in these SLE show matches, always having a good impact, and it's gonna be locked in. Nico, it's actually very interesting to see that maybe Yin expects Eugene not to have any reliable answers to this champion, so it could be.
Yeah, so I think one thing I really like about Yin's draft here already is that they've gone for a Nico who can kind of play multiple roles here. If I'm not mistaken, you can put the Nico either into mid or support, and similarly, you're not going to know where this Maokai is going to go either. Commonly, Maokai doesn't go into support, is very uncommon. Also, I don't think Wiggies is the kind of player who would operate the Maokai, so I imagine A's will be piloting that one with the Nico. Likely going into mid lane. Personally, for me, I think Wiggy's biggest strengths is on engaged champions, where he's able to get stuck in, start the fights himself, and whenever he does, he lands big engages, big picks. So I personally would like to see this Nico go into the hands of Kim Jensen, and Wiggy's picking up something from himself. But we'll have to wait and see as Wacky Wraiths lock in the Xayah, and I can imagine this will be paired up with something that can follow up or set up the Xayah feathers. So something like the Rakan. There's even an option to go for Rakan. What do you guys think?
I think Rakan is a really obvious and great pick. However, the Orianna is instead locked in as a reply to Nico.
So what I really like about this is this is a used Jin special, and Mikis, what we think about this Orianna pick?
I really think that the thought process there is to secure a mid-lane champion that Yujin feels comfortable on, because I still think his champion pool might not be that large. I think he plays like Orianna, Corki, Xerath is banned away from him already, so he did not want those two champions to be banned in the second phase and forced onto something he doesn't feel too good on. But yeah, they lose their account pick, so that's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think Rakan might be left open because I don't know if Rakan's too good into the Yin draft right now. Playing Rakan into Sivir, Maokai, Nico might limit your angles to start engages. So we'll have to wait and see. But the second rotation of bans coming in will be, the first one will be Ornn targeting K's Maze. So the Scion is completely untouched, and it's almost like, what I imagine here is Zench is the kind of top laner who's not going to back down from a fight. He is not afraid of any single player in this league, even the top ones, and even the ones with names. And I can so imagine that Zench right now is saying, pick that Scion, pick your OTP. I've heard you're a top 20 Scion player. Go for that champion, and I will beat you on it, is what his mindset is.
Yeah, and also with the Ornn banned out, I assume that it's going to be a last pick top lane counter for the side of Yin. It makes sense, and we see Alistar as well. Not sure. Why would they go for that ban? And is Alistar strong in this patch or something?
So I think the reason why Alistar is really good into Sivir is because Sivir can't really spell shield against the combo, because Alistar will go in with the W. And if Sivir doesn't spell shield that, then it's a free pulverize after to follow that. But if you spell shield the headbutt anyway, Alistar can just pulverize, and that spell won't be blocked, so the engage does follow through.
Yeah, true.
So I can see why that ban did come through. Also sets up the Orianna extremely well. But I mean, we'll have to see. They have left the Rakan open, but as I mentioned, if I'm playing the Rakan here into this current team composition, especially now against the Leona, it is gonna look very difficult if they decide to opt for that.
Yeah, feels like they're gonna go. Yeah,
some disengage would be very fine, honestly. Like, just having something that helps you kite back. Even a Renata in this game doesn't look all too awful. You already see that Gucci is completely locked into engaging on you with the Maokai, with the Leona, with potentially finding a Nico trap. And I think, just having some extra tools to get out of those engages alive is great.
Yeah.
And there comes the Scion.
There we go.
There's the Scion, and we're in for a treat as K's Maze has taken his main champion, the feared Scion of the Wacky Wraiths top laner, and we're going to see what gets picked here for support, as it will be on the blue 5, which is quite uncommon.
Yeah, I would expect something like Thresh, right? Would fit their comp quite well. Yeah. Also a good matchup into the Leona. Braum as well, absolutely. Definitely good champion against these tank champions, and I'm so excited to see what Yin is cooking here. They knew that they're gonna play against Case Maze's Scion, so they must have prepared something viable.
They must have prepared something viable indeed, and looking at the Wacky Wraith composition right now, if they're going to go into a straight-up 5v5, it does look very difficult for the team composition of Yin. Wacky Wraith so well-balanced, you've got to mix
Give me the Fiora! Give me the Fiora!
Set up, and it's going to be Zench's Fiora locked in. He's got the confidence now. Fiora is not a common pick in the SLE. A lot of SLE top laners like to play the facilitator setups playstyle, but you do have those small handful of players. I'm talking about your Captainins, I'm talking about your Kernazis that are confident enough to take these high skill cap champions, and Zench is going to fall into that bracket and into that category of top skilled players within the top lane pool of the SLE as he pilots the Fiora up against Kaze Maze's Sion, and I'm excited for this matchup.
I'm surprised. I think they wanted to get the Sion onto Wacky Wraiths roster. I think that's like a really obvious pick if you leave it open. And surprisingly, Wacky Wraiths didn't ban one of Sion's hardest counters with the Fiora, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a really nice pick here for the lane, and one thing that has already caught my attention, however, regardless of this counter matchup, is Fiora doesn't necessarily fit into the team comp of Yin, in my personal opinion. I think it's like a little bit of a small death ball composition where you want to layer the ultimates on top of each other, basically in a team fight. I mean, alternatively, Nico can play on side lane, so you can do a 1-3-1, but the combo here from Yin is so good. Fiora, traditionally not a top laner, but obviously we have seen in a previous show match where if Zench's Fiora can get far enough ahead, then he can join those team fights and create pure chaos and do some big damage to those team fights. So big eyes on Zench to see if he can get far ahead. Last time around, he was up against, I can't remember, the other Wacky Wraiths top laner. He was up against Epic, who I think personally is a very solid top laner, but isn't going to do anything crazy or out of the blue to create himself an advantage. This time around, he's up against a very high skilled and very high knowledgeable player on his champion, Kaze Maze on the Sion. So it's a completely different beast he's facing today.
Yeah, for sure. I think top lane matchup in general is something that we'll be looking at for like the whole series, and I'm just so excited to see one of my favorite champions with the Fiora being picked up in game 1.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Fiora can be a nightmare for the Sion, but historically, Fiora has struggled in SLE games, often losing. I think I am actually hard pressed to even remember any games that Fiora has won or looked very, very strong on. But yeah, we're yet to see. I think even players like the captain and Konhatsi did not have the best performances onto the Fiora. Even though I remember one game when she won in the finals against Blackmont.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think just taking a look at the Wacky Wraiths team composition here, I do have to say this does fit my viewpoint or my perspective of the strengths of this roster. It is very straightforward, and I think in general, I don't know if this is a German thing, but it definitely does seem like the German teams in the SLE, they opt into these rosters that are very bog standard and very simple to play. There's nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated. They're very drilled, very disciplined. The only issue I see is that the lanes for Wacky Wraiths Y, they don't look too favorable for them. The way I see it is like you have a Xayah, a Braum, who realistically you're not going to find hard engages coming out of the Braum because you're more of a protective champion, which means Sivir is going to have a free lane to scale. You outrange the Xayah as well with your Q and your W. Leona can be the one who does the engages, and as you mentioned, Thresh would have been something that can deter this Leona from starting fights and looking for picks, but Braum not so much because the Zenith Blade will land anyway. There's nothing to prevent that from hitting. On top of that, Nico is probably the pick of the patch right now when it comes to mid lane. So yeah, Wacky Wraiths, I think their goal here is to try and get through the early game and hit to those mid to late game team fights. And if they can do that, then we might see a close game here.
I agree 100% with what you said. I also think that, yes, early game is not too great for Wacky Wraiths, but like they still have the potential to come out of the early game fine with just Ivern being there to help these lanes. That being said, though, I think it's not going to be easy at all for Wacky Wraiths.
Yeah, not going to be easy, but it's definitely playable. And as I said, there's a bit of a thing with the SLE. It feels like it has its own meta, where it's like you just have to play to the strengths of your players and your team. And I think their team composition definitely does that. But then again, I have to say, from watching this Yin squad in scrims, a lot of their games, they are just dominating the lanes. They have genuinely won so many scrims just because 15 minutes hit, every single lane is up 20, 30 CS, and it's like, doesn't matter what the draft is, or doesn't matter how good the opponent is at their draft, the game is just over. So I think if you're Wacky Wraiths Y, the clear game plan here is to not fall too far behind in the lanes, and it's gonna be a lot on Robbery, who can supply and make sure that his lanes don't get overly pressured. And I think he is definitely a capable player to do that, but there's a lot on his hands because I don't think there's a single lane on his side that look too favorable right now.
And here we go.
Oh, we might be
Gucci.
seeing early action from
Yeah.
Gucci. Wards being used, being spotted out, and it's an early ward take.
Huge advantage. Yeah, huge advantage indeed, and I think the Delph player, this from Braum for the side of Wacky Wraiths, here, he played ADC previous split, if I remember correctly. So another returning face to the SLE, and yeah, only one rookie on the squad, I believe. The highly touted Boatner. Everyone's excited to see him play. Everyone's excited to see how this rookie can perform, especially boys in the cheat chat. Maybe watching this, maybe not. And yeah, as well as I'm also very excited to see how Yuschin performs. Unfortunately, he had the most deaths in SLE in previous split, so definitely looking to start this SLE split much better here.
I think so. There's definitely untapped potential within Usage, and I think there is just like chance of this being a Cinderella story for him, which I really hope for.
Yeah, I would agree. Chance, really a redemption story, rather for the side of Wacky Wraiths, especially these players, because I think this is the team that kind of and gets the legacy from the previous Wacky Wraiths squad. This is the team that has the most players coming in from that squad that did not have the hottest seasons. And
and first blood already. Zench getting the solo, Bolo, Ghost being used, and Kai's Mice already clearing out the wave in the passive. One of the monster perks of Sion is just being able to contest waves like crazy.
That's true, but doesn't he like kind of push the wave and gets a little bit frozen onto him? Definitely dying a little bit early into this lane, but I've seen enough Bowser's streams to know that it's not the end of the lane for the Scion, even if he dies early. But
yeah, it's not the first
sure.
of that matters; it's the 12th one that matters.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, also, let's see, the coming in.
Oh, there is the gank. Is it enough usage? And has to flash out, lives on 1 HP, but the flash forward from Kim Jensen is enough, and he picks up his first kill in this game. And now Robbery is spotted out on the minions, and G-bot lane with Cheffer, and Wiggies backs off. And great start for Gucci Yin in this game so far.
Yeah, Ace pulls the trigger there instantly, goes for the flash route onto Yushin, and Kim Jensen follows up with a flash auto attack there as well at the end. Very, very well played, and yeah, putting Yushin behind already in this early phases of this game. We see, actually, Robbery is here.
Robbery won the invade with the Ivern. This is something I rarely see, but he has the priority from his lanes, and he should be fine. And there's already some CS difference in the jungle, and this is how I know my Fiora and the Sion matchups to go and turn out usually. Sion dies and leaves the lane in a bad state, and yet somehow the Fiora is still getting outtraded out of nowhere. And it feels completely unfair. But I think Zench will be fine once he TPs back into the lane.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be just fine, securing that first blood and gold coming in there, and yeah, so far so good for the side of Fiora. Let's see if the Sion one trick can pull it back here. Yeah, Ace.
Oh, look at Ace looking for the gank on Usagen. It's not warded up, but now he's spotted out on the Sky's Bloom. Usagen actually moving up to help Robbery on that Scuttle Crab, and this is kind of an unfavorable position for Ace right now. He knocks him back, but like this is not enough. There is the Scryos Bloom speed up, or the Scuttle speed up, and now the fight is being turned. Ace is knocking them into Zench, but Zench is now in 3 members, and Robbery picks up the first kill against Ace. Now Zench is looking for Murder, finds Usagen. Kai's Mice is very low HP, gets shielded by Robbery, and just barely gets out.
Ooh.
QW not connecting. It's a 1-for-1 in what potentially could have been far more kills for the side of Gucci.
Yeah, Casemates runs away just by a little bit, and we see here Ace finding himself in a little bit of a trouble. Has no flash, but maybe he's actually baiting it, knowing that Zench is going to be first here. At first, Wacky Wraiths see themselves in a man advantage, but here comes Kim Jensen turning the team fight around, and Yushin gets his second death of the game, and Zench gets his second kill of the game, and putting Sion out of this lane, making it very, very dangerous. And will he dive him here?
Oh, there is the Grand Challenge at the ready, but Zench actually decides against it. He can use it whenever, though. He's using the Ghost right now, and he definitely picks up the kill with the passive, and that's beautiful stuff. And Zench is just fine getting away here. Robbery also not really close enough to do anything. And just a straight recall, and Zench is already 3-0 into the game. And that's a great start that Fiora can have.
That's the best start he could ever ask for. And what is Wacky Wraiths doing there? Letting their top laner just be dived like that. Maybe a little bit of a slow response from the side of Wraiths. And
Yeah, Caseme is already so far behind now in this matchup, and it won't get much easier against this well-scaling melee Vayne.
Ooh, and now look at this. This is a good gank. Robbery is kind of caught out, but Ace is not able to dish out all that much damage. Sheffer is the only one at the ready. He has the ghost pop, but it's not enough to actually force the fight. Büttner, the one to like being pressured out now by Kim Jensen and Usage coming in now. But overall, I don't see a play for Wacky Wraiths here, and they lost so much health that the play is good for Gucci, in fact.
Yeah, Gucci gets a little bit of a health advantage there, but overall, I think it's quite lucky from the Wacky Bats that they didn't die there. Sivir, not the biggest of threats in this early game, maybe not dealing that much damage. We see another 1v1 top lane.
Oh, the trade is not bad. Zench barely dodging that. The base damage from a Scion, especially in a stacked wave like this, is crazy good.
Yeah, and this Fiore will eventually surely go back to this lane. I cannot imagine him wanting to give up this massive
But
wave.
I think Kais can play this.
Yeah.
He should be fine.
Oh.
Wait,
Is
why
he
are the minions
playing?
trolling
Oh,
it? Why are the minions trolling it? What is happening?
But it is going to be
Oh,
a dive here.
robbery! Robbery is getting kind of trolled by Daisy, but Daisy is also doing so much damage. Is it enough? Not enough to kill Zench.
Zench playing with fire there, and yeah, we saw just outside of the minion aggro range there, not getting the aggro there, and almost getting yet another solo kill, but Robbery coming in clutch, saving his top laner from yet another death, and but it's not getting much more easier for Casemaze there, even though we saw that 1v1 going out very, very close, almost getting the kill back by Casemaze there.
Yeah, I think Case could have like definitely traded kills there, even with his passive, but he decided to just play safe and not die, which is a respectable choice. But I think, especially with 300 gold bounty on Zench already at 8 minutes or 9 minutes, I think that play would have been really good if he just continued fighting in his minions.
We see here Gucci sending their support to the top of the map, knowing that they have the Fed Fiora there, and there's very little chance of Wacky Wraiths contesting this play. Yeah, intelligent rotations, intelligent macro here by Gucci so far. Meanwhile, Büttner here being the star player for the side of Wacky Wraiths, so far farming up quite well, leading the game in farms, so even though they are kind of behind in this early laning phase, I still think there are angles for Wacky Wraiths to come back into this game later on.
Yeah, for sure. I think currently they are still very much in the game despite being down 3 kills. And it's on Gucci right now to snowball their lead, especially in the side lanes, even further, or else it's going to be an uphill battle against the clock.
Oh, it
And
looks
we
so.
see Ace in a really uncomfortable spot, has to flash out. There is a lot of members from Wacky Wraiths, and the flash forward from Büttner is crazy stuff here. Zench not able to pick up the last vital on the Grand Challenge. So no kill for him. But he still has the ghost. He's looking for Kais. And I mean, Kais used the flash, but QW is enough to hit. Beautiful stuff from Zench. Out of mana though. An issue that Fiora usually actually has if she doesn't take presence against the grass tanky Scion.
Yeah, surely, but yet another solo kill by the Fiora, but sooner or later these solo kills are not necessarily gaining that much gold, and Casemaze meanwhile leading the lane in farm by 14 CS, so he's kind of doing the pressure, kind of doing the Scion thing, and so far a very good laning phase by Zench, but that lane won't be over just yet. Scion is not out of the game.
Yeah, and now we see Wacky Wraiths looking for a play there. Wicky's checking the brush and spotting them out though. Good warding and good awareness from him. And now Büttner has to be careful. Flash forward from Wiggy's. Schaffner is looking for the kill. Is it enough damage? There is Delph, and they know that There is robbery close by. There is a teleport also invested. Ace is there. The cavalry has arrived. There is also Kim Jensen.
4v4.
And it's a 4v4 on the bot lane out of nowhere. Flash forward, 4-man knockup. Kim Jensen, what are you doing? Wig is looking for more. The scene of plate is at the ready. Q comes in. Robbery falls. 2 kills go over to Gucci Yang. What just happened?
Kim Jensen coming in with a massive ultimate. Eyes on Kim Jensen yet again as he absolutely pops off in the team fight, landing 4-man ultimate. Yushin tried to save it with and we see in instant replay here, we see Gucci really baiting this gang, getting the TP from Yushin here, and for a moment I think that this is a good fight for them, but we see Kim Jensen fooling them.
Beautiful flash
ultimate. Yeah, this 2-man ultimate kind of looks good for the side of Wacky Wraiths, but not enough. Yeah, huge play for Gucci.
I mean, now we are looking at a game state where Gucci in is up 2 dragons and 3,000 gold, and there's another play being found on Usagin, who is not, well, not having the greatest time yet. And there's also the trades on the top lane looking worse and worse now, especially with the Fiora having Divine Sandra. And let's just say, this game state is quite suboptimal for Wacky Wraiths Y.
Yeah, suboptimal indeed. So far, losing every single fight of the game. Some of them closer, some of them not so close. But yeah, the sideline Fiora is becoming a bigger problem. Meanwhile, Kim Jensen looks to be on form, coming in here after a little bit of a break, I think, and yeah, looking very good so far. Gucci with 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and I'm personally happy to see Zenj pop off, because I don't know where it came from, but Zenj has been my hype man ever since like the first few show matches I've been casting, which is just amazing. And now like seeing him pop off on one of my favorite picks, that's quite the satisfaction, I'm telling you.
And we see this massive wave clearing build from Sivir coming in that apparently
Nice.
Sheffer has stolen from Kanze in the Gucci. I got an inside info.
Oh, there's the knock-up, but the HP of Kai's Mice is already chopped down to less than half. He has his corrupting pots at the ready, which might just change a few things. But this side lane matchup is the real show of today's show match.
Yeah, we see a lot of excitement
Look at
around
this.
Case Maze.
They're both trading. Kim Jensen now going in for the ultimate play. But I think he may or may not have overestimated himself there. And
No,
Kai's
Kim.
Mice not
Okay.
able to find the kill. Kim Jensen being saved by the level up. And just the fact that there is always just one auto attack missing.
Yeah, going around
Oh,
that.
and Butna has to be careful. Wiggies is there to maybe
it's a
help
2v3.
out Shavner with the play, but Wiggies kind of sacrifices himself, but he is quite tanky, and there
Ace
is
is here.
Ace.
TP.
There is the TP coming in from Kim Jensen. This could be a good play, and immediately turned around. 2 more kills for Gucci Ying. We're at 15 minutes, and there is 11 kills different, and Sheffer makes it 1 more. Usage also has to be careful, has to flash away there. We're speaking at 8,000 gold difference at 15. Oh, the ult from Usage though finds the shutdown onto Sheffer. He is showing that there is still some signs of life for Wacky Wraiths.
Yeah, at least Justin gets something for the side of Wacky Wraiths there. Other than that, they got wiped in that team fight, and you could see Sheffer just chasing down Botner there, saying that I am the most hyped ADC, rookie ADC coming into this split, and you shall respect me even if I am on. And it's 1v3.
And Zenj is not going to get out of this one, but the Divine Sandra heal is absolutely disgusting. There is the knock-up though from the Bromald. Is it enough? No! There is Kai's Mice coming in with the flash WQ to secure the shutdown. on the Fiora he has been building up over the last couple of minutes, and finally some cash in for Wacky Wraiths.
Some cash in indeed. I think it was 800 gold shut down there for Case Maze, and I think that's the gold he needs to get back into this game. We already saw him drawing so much pressure, with almost 1v1 in Kim Jensen there, and with this massive gold influx, I believe that he will be an impact in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see him now that he has like some extra gold becoming a threat. It is still a Scion after all, but like Scion with resources, I've come to learn is scary. And I mean, we have seen some Scion builds during SLE during the last two splits. I remember back when SGI was still a thing, Tobe hopping in and showing us the AP Scion. We have seen like side lane Scion on multiple occasions, and we've seen like the classic tank Scion. So I'm more than hyped to see what Kaismaze is going to be cooking up.
Yeah, we see here Wacky Wraiths kind of dancing around the Drake just a little bit. I do not believe that as a 4v4 they can really contest this. But they choose to rather stop the Herald charge than contesting the Drake here, and I believe it's the right choice. That being said, it's all about it's all about farming, getting some resource from the Wacky Wraiths, getting their star ADC, maybe some farm, and really, really hoping that they can do something in mid game.
Yeah, I mean, by now the players are looking rather helpless, and now I'm actually confused looking at someone's build. Maybe you, as the resident Sivir player of SLE, have more info than I have. What is Black Cleaver Sivir?
Yeah, and this is the first time I personally see the build, but allegedly it's a build that Kanze, the Gucci Yank ADC, has cooked up, and I think some confused faces, but he says it's a good build, and Sheffer is trying for it as well. So far, it's looking good. Then again, everything for Gucci so far has been looking good, so I'm not that sure if how big of a share for it is from the Sheffer's Black Cleaver Sivir.
Fair enough, honestly. I think if you're 10 kills up and roughly 7,000 gold, you can go for a lot of builds and still find a way to win. That being said, though, if Wacky Wraiths finds a way back in, the consistent damage that Butna will offer could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing that they're really betting on. Butner with two supports, in a way, kind of two supports and two champions, two solomoners that can be very supportive. If they can keep Butner alive, if he can proc his little tempo, then I think Butner can carry these teamfights. Will he get to the moment where he gets to do that? It's yet to see. That's basically the task for Gucci, to close out this game before Butner can carry these teamfights. And so far they are on the pace to do that with 3 Drakes and so many objectives already taken.
Yeah, and I mean, we will have Soul Drake up in less than 3 minutes now. There is the Baron, as you said, and well, what can Wacky Wraiths really do to contest any of these objectives? Fights are not gonna turn out their way whatsoever, and Delph has to be careful.
Yeah, and with so much engage coming from the side of Gucci, the Sivir ult, and the Maokai saplings and things like that, it's so difficult to approach these objectives. But Zench might be in trouble. Or is he?
And Zench is actually not really in trouble. Kais is just beautiful W though, and Zench is still able to pick him up because Fiora is a fair champ. But that looked like a possible escape there, and beautiful flash from Ace, dodging aside Usigen's ult, and now Wiggy's taking up a bit of damage, getting rooted. There is the ult from the Ivern, and well, there's not enough like playmaking for the side of Wacky Wraiths that they can like use, and that's mostly costing them.
Yeah, looks like they found some success going on to the Chi, chunking them out, but yeah, we see they have to match this Fiora. She's pushing down the objectives so quickly, or they must force a 4v4 fight. And we see good Chi, the moment they go to match the Fiora, they just go for this Baron. And once the Wacky Wraiths try to, and yep,
And Zen's just looking for another fight against Case Maze. He doesn't. He has a Grand Challenge available, but he doesn't want to use it. Just wants to get the recall and move the Baron buff, and that's fair enough. We're looking at 22 minutes, and the gold gap has widened to 9,000 again. And well, there is a good chance that this game could end pretty soon. And also, we see some more cooking in the Sivir build. I am just gonna dismiss this as a cook, and I'm just happy to see people cooking.
No, but think about it. The Fang and a lot of shielding actually coming from the side of Wacky Wraiths with Orianna, with the Ivern. I don't think it's that bad of an item. Maybe it's not a great item, but
It's not bad. It's just there's no attack speed. There's little to no attack speed for Cheffer.
there's a static share on the boots.
I'm just worried that it's not enough. But we see Ace looking for the ult, finding 2 roots, Robbery and Delve dropping a bit of health, and there is the Soul Drake, and I mean, there's nothing that Wacky Wraiths can do.
Yeah, nothing
And-
really. Only can go for maybe a miracle steal attempt, but not even sure if they...
Will we see Robbery going for the Miracle Steal? He has the flash ready. Their vision is severely impaired though, and he just has to kind of go for it blind. 3,000 health
Yeah.
on the Drake. All
But you need to
eyes
pull this
on
out.
Robbery. And there is the steal! Absolutely massive! Kim Jensen going on the wall, looking for the play. Wiggis is in the play, and Zench also finding a W, but it's not enough. There's not enough damage. Case Maze is now in the front line, and Sheffer ghosting forward, but doesn't have quite the attack speed to dish out consistent damage. Still deals a lot of damage, and what a steal for Wacky Wraiths, keeping them in the game, not dropping the soul just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. They're getting the steal, getting objective shutdown as well, but we see Gucci just not stopping, instantly going for the Baron play. But look at this, Wacky Wraiths actually on the pace. They know that they are doing this, and they can contest this, I believe. Or are they? They're not contesting it.
I mean, they should be. There's Butner there, but like no one else. They're all looking for the Fiora instead, and Butner just has to back off, and that's a pre-Baron for Gucci Yin. And they're in prime position, especially if Zench gets out of this play to end the game. And with the Ghost used and him running off versus 4 members, he's doing an excellent job on the Fiora so far. Butner now being attacked by the Leona, but it's not connecting, and yeah, this is pretty fine.
Yeah, it's fine indeed. Gucci will take this trade, and we see Fiora just running away from 4 people on the other side of the map, not even close to being dead. And yeah, it was a very nice play by Robbery there and by Yuschin together. I believe Gucci should have. They had so much time to pull out this Drake and to not let Wacky Wraiths combo it with Orianna, but playing a little bit lazy there and get punished by the side of Wacky Wraiths, stealing the dragon.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking at a really hopeless situation for Wacky Wraiths, but we gotta keep in mind they're the scaling team. If they pull off these plays like repeatedly and clear enough waves and survive into the late game, they can still win this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw in that fight, actually, as long as Butner is untouched, he dealt out so much damage, even killed Viggies there. And yeah, he has the damage and he has the items in. He's probably going to build the LDR next to deal with the front
That
line
being
coming in.
said,
from
though,
G.
he's picked off. Butner
Oh, yeah.
is rooted in his ult. This is quite unfortunate. And now Zench is on the flank, finds the Grand Challenge onto Robbery. That's a lot of damage from 1 Q. but Wiggies and Zench are kind of caught in the flank while the rest of Gucci has to push the mid lane turret. There's only the cannon, and Zench is pushing the whole bot side of the map all on his own. Kazme is dropping to little health, and Wacky Race has one last chance, one last shot at stopping Gucci, and they're already hitting the turret with all they've got. The first Nexus turret is closing, and knock up onto Wiggies. He's the tank though, he should live this for at least a little bit more, and robbery on 1 HP. Zench is so low, but is empowering the minions on the bot side of the map. There's 3 cannons. Some of them are even hitting the Nexus. This could be over anytime soon. And there is still Kim Jensen, who might be looking for a play on that. Nico finds a route, but is not ulting in just yet. Maybe he's going to look for a copy again. And there's so many minions crashing in. I don't think Wacky Res can defend this. This is seconds away from ending. Kim Jensen looking for the 4-man or 3-man knockup. And that's definitely the end of the game. Gucci takes game 1.
Absolutely dominating performance by the side of Gucci, starting with the first solo kill by Zench in top lane, putting these carry pants on, and showing that his Fiora is something to be feared. Also, Kim Jensen, beautiful ultimates, turning these team fights around, especially that 4-man ultimate onto the bot lane. Huge plays by the Gucci, and are we getting joined by Gucci's own Savonix here? What are your thoughts on this game, Adrian?
I think
he's
we
not
are
here.
not. But I mean, let's quickly do this one without him. This was a crazy game already for first game, and I mean, we see a really dominant Gucci Yin showing up to the first game, kind of what we expected as well. But who of them, of these like 5 standout playmaking players, was your personal MVP for this game?
Well, in the analyst desk, we kind of threw a challenge onto the Fiora player, and I definitely think he showed up against the top 20 Scion player in EU West. Zench popped off on the Fiora, and it was an absolute menace. How about you, Savonix? Who was your MVP of game 1?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. All right. So personally, for me, I think off the back of that game, it was a big statement here to leave open Kazme Sion, and as you said, top 20. You cannot underestimate this play, and I've seen many top players fall to the hands of the Kazme Sion, but Zench said, "Not me, not today," and he took the fight to him, and he looked extremely good. And we've hyped Zench up a lot. We talked a lot about him in the pre-show, but listen, I want to throw over to the man who is carrying on the powerhouse SLE Gucci mid lane legacy, Kim Jensen. What a performance from him. And I think straight away, straight from the first skirmish, you saw that big ultimate in the bot lane turning the tide of the fight. This is the value an experienced and mechanically gifted player that has played the SLE before can provide for your team. And I'm very impressed with the way Yin had played that. I mean, just as a quick note, if I ever hear A's criticize Obsidian for missing a smite, I will just laugh because that was funny. But yeah, no, great stuff from the boys. And I think for Wacky Wraiths, I think the one big takeaway from that game was that going like off the back of that massive deficit in the early game, you went into the mid game, you played it slow, and yes, you won the 50-50, that can happen, but the point is you stayed in the game and you didn't just kind of just int your face off, right? And I've seen the Wacky Race many times last split where they kind of just threw games away off random fights. They were a bit more calculated this time than before, so I think if you're Wacky Race, you're a bit sad, but as I said, with this Gucci Yin roster, they genuinely win games because their laners are just better, and this was one of those examples. But for Wacky Wraiths, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. What adaptations do you see them making and coming into this next game?
I want to see them pick something that just neutralizes the laning phase entirely, to the point where they test Gucci Yang's mid to late game. I want to see like some super safe picks that can't be ganked, and like just abandon the concept of playing for ganks and just power farming for 20 minutes. I think that's something that they need to do in order to be good GM.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an angle that they can take, and I think going into this next game, Wacky Race, they aren't like I feel like with a show match, this is not where you want to be fearful. You need to play fearless, and I think with them, it's all about getting through that lane phase with confidence. And once you do that, I reckon there's going to be a much closer game in game 2. But I mean, of course, there will be aspects such as draft adaptations, whether they have taken away anything from that game and are going to implement it into the next game. That's up to them. But I think if you're Gitchi Yin, you're going to come off the back of that game with loads of confidence. I can imagine they're all making jokes, having a good time over there. I think they are a team that in the SLE power rankings has been rated very harshly. They haven't gone past rank 5, which I think if you look at some of the names on this roster, I think that's definitely unjust. And I think this is definitely the kind of showing that Yin have come to provide to show everyone that, listen, we aren't just here to be a 5th place team, and we're here to win. So yeah, I'm very, very happy, but more importantly, I'm excited to see what not only Yin but both rosters can show. And I think one big takeaway is like, although Burtner wasn't able to showcase how good he is, there were certain moments there where you can tell this is not a player that you can take lightly.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
we also need to give maybe a little bit of a chance to prove themselves for Wacky Rates. This is just a game 1. Okay, they got punched in the mouth maybe a little bit in this early phase, instantly getting solo kill with the Fiora. But I'm excited to see what adaptations they make. For me, the most interesting is they surely cannot. They're surely gonna give their top laner a counter pick this time. I believe so. Do they have champions in the top lane that can match up to champions like Fiora, like the Camille, these kind of like tank killing champions? Or is Casemaze's whole champion pool just stacked with these kind of tanky bruisers that are exposed by these maybe high percentage health damage champions in top lane?
Yeah, sorry. I think I'm going to speak from an angle that from someone who used to kind of be able to operate a very small champion pool or a minute number of champions. I think one concerning thing is that when you are a bit of an OTP, you could say, it's like you kind of know how to play these rough matchups. And I think it's almost why Hayes Mace was playing so aggressively into the counter matchup, because I'm guessing he was like, I've played against Fioras before. There's many times in the solo queue on my climb to a high ranked Sion player that a Fiora has been picked into me, and you kind of figure out that how to play the bad matchups and how not to lose too harshly. I think one concerning thing is that he lost pretty harshly. So I think going into the next game, as you mentioned, like, does he have the picks to? Does he have a broad enough champion pool to adapt against a player like Zench? Where, if I'm playing against Zench, you're gonna go under the assumption that he will be able to play into most champions, and he will be able to find the optimal pick into basically everything that you have. So I think it's going to be a big test for me for K's Mace here. This is going to be like a lot of information, not just for his own team, but for the rest of the split to be like, outside of Sion and Volibear, who is K's Mace? So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens here, whether or not he goes for something else or whether he adapts to a broader champion pool.
Yeah, I think it's also something, especially like in a team environment where you have regular scrims, it's not that hard to find simple and easy to execute picks that you can confidently pick. And I hope that Case Mace finds a bit more flexibility with that. It could even be spicy picks a la Linus and just really whipping out some Garen gaming if
Ooh.
we're desperate.
Yeah,
But
yeah, definitely.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think his main strength is probably going to be tanks, and I think he'll find his way into those.
It was very interesting because there was a conversation about this earlier in the SLE Discord, which guys, if you haven't joined, be sure to join. And it was about like having value as a top laner, and there's this argument that yes, tanks you can kind of get away with sort of just playing weak side, sitting it out until the team fights, and then kind of activating and playing the game. But then it's like as soon as you come up against a player that has a skill in lane and ability to punish these kind of players who think that they can ride it out, that's where they struggle the most. And I feel like Zench just is one of those guys who will punish you if you even think about not trying to win your lane. So I think if I was Wacky Race, I would try to pull some attention away from the rest from the top lane actually, and try to put more support into the other lanes. And I think as much as Sheffer and Wiggies did look pretty good for the majority of that game, there was the early lane phase where I've actually felt that the Wacky Wraiths bot lane were keeping up in that bot lane and keeping it even, keeping it competitive, which is the most important thing. So I would like to see Wacky Wraiths make more adaptations to the rest of the map, as opposed to putting so much focus on, Kaze Maze being a fantastic Scion player.
And no bans being changed so far from both sides, and we see another
The first pick,
third
Nico.
Yeah, the Nico is a really high priority so far from the side of Gucci.
I mean, Wacky Wraiths found no good answer with the Orianna into the Nico. And we saw Kim Jensen go for multiple, like, 3-man, 4-man ultimates in the game. So I think it's a justifiable pick on B1.
I think, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And personally, I'm sure Yin have done their prep, right? Looking into a player like Yushin, is he going to be able to pilot the champions that can punish a Nico extremely well? And, just off the back of last game, he picked the Nico super early on, and it was answered by an Orianna, which it's not a bad pick into the Nico, don't get me wrong, but there are so many other options that you could pick into the Nico that would give you a much better competitive advantage against that champion. Nico, commonly a short range champion doesn't have massive range, so picking up a champion that can kind of fall under the poke category or an artillery mage probably would be better. The Xerath was banned, admittedly, but there are things like the Jace if you play it. There are things like the Vel'Koz if you can, which is a bit of a specialist champion. But yeah, I think just looking at Yushin's champion pool, it doesn't seem like there are enough picks to punish the Nico being picked up early.
Is Lissandra one of the picks that can punish Nico?
I think okay, what I would say about Lissandra into Nico is that the lane phase is difficult because Lissandra's even shorter range than the Nico. But in terms of losing lane, you don't actually have to be concerned about that as Lissandra at all, because at the end of the day, you are the setup for the team.
Definitely. I also think the Jinx for the side of Wacky Wraiths is nice because it's like such a hyper carry ADC champ. And I think giving that to Butna could be the right way of playing the game for them.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think, this guy's been hyped up, and the way the SLE operates, you're not hyped up for absolutely no reason. You're either friends with people if you're hyped up, or you're just insanely good. And this guy is new to the league, so I doubt he's friends, and so it must be the other option. And I think putting him on a hyper carry like the Jinx will be able to supply his strengths extremely well coming into the second game.
Definitely. And we will see the last pick from the sort of Wacky Wraiths for the first rotation. Meanwhile, Gucci Yin has already finished up their first 3 picks. What are we thinking so far from Gucci Yin's sides?
Very standard draft coming in from Gucci, not showing too much of new picks so far. Going for the Sejuani instead of the Maokai here, and a Trundle answer by the side of Wacky Wraiths. I think in Vacuum this is a good champion to answer the Sejuani with, but overall Trundle might struggle in these mid to late game fights. Then again, he can ult the Sejuani and be a monster. Overall, it's a good pick. SLE Trundle making a debut in the show matches, I believe, and
SLE Trundle is back.
SLE Trundle is back indeed.
Yep, and I actually think one thing is interesting because I've seen A's fill in for a few of the show matches, and I noticed obviously A's is an incredible jungler, CWL champion. But I have noticed he's gone for a lot more like dog junglers, where it kind of feels like he's trying not too hard to like completely face all the competition. So I kind of like that from a guy who's like well above the skill level and kind of given even playing ground in these show matches. It's not like Captain, right, where he just like sweated it out as if it was World's Finals, right?
Yeah, then again, last time we saw Ace on a carry champion, it was Olaf, and it didn't look that good.
That is true. That is true.
That being said, second round coming in, we see these carry champions being banned out by the side of Wacky Wraiths, both Fiora and Gwen being taken out as quite kind of similar kind of AP-AD versions of those two. And we see again Wacky Wraiths being given an opportunity to go for this volleyball or this Sion pick. Gucci not really afraid of those two champions by the side of Wacky Wraiths. And yeah, we will most likely though see a support pick here as they will prepare for that last pick top lane.
Yeah, last pick top lane, and I think what we might be seeing is a bit of a rivalry growing with. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mean to say I speak for all OTPs, but I've been in that position before where you're so confident on this champion. You are one of the highest ranked players on this champion in your region. And someone just comes along and dumpsters you on stream, it feels rough, and you're like, nah, give me a rematch, give me a rematch. So, yeah, saving that counter pick, although, personally, as I said, I would have liked it to be staged for another position, but it kind of does make sense because, you know, you see the mid lane pick already, so it does make sense to pick it early, but, I mean, the only issue with the way Wacky Wraiths have drafted here is that you're sort of giving a good matchup for bot lane, and Wiggy's is going to be able to pick whatever he likes here, depending on what looks good. I'm assuming an engager, and more importantly, Zench on the Aatrox currently extremely powerful on the patch with the new changes.
Ooh, and the Azir on 5. So wait, is that a support Nico then?
Yeah, so if Azir gets locked in here, because Azir is a really good matchup into Lissandra, like, this is one of those matchups for Lissandra where you just cannot reach the Azir. Azir completely outranges you, completely outscales you. If Lissandra throws the E, Azir just shuffles away and she can't get an engage, so it's borderline unplayable for the Lissandra. And once again, Kim Jensen carrying on the legacy of good Shi mid laners in the SLE, locking in the Emperor of Shurima, and I hope he gets a pentakill. Shout out to Brillman because he made a very average play, pretty hype. But yeah, and we see a Sion getting locked in once again for K's Maze. It's going to be up against Zench's Aatrox, so he's going to take a second bite at the battle, and he's going for the Sion once again.
I'm surprised he locked in Sion. I don't think Aatrox is too fun for Sion either. I think that was a smart pick by Zench, anticipating the Sion, and maybe it's just Case being really, really confident to the point of like him saying, okay, I can face off even in bad matchups, and well, there is a chance that this goes better than the Fiora, but I still think this is not a great matchup for the Sion.
As I said, when you're a one trick and you're supposedly extremely high rank in your region on that one trick, losing any lane feels like absolute shit. You kind of look yourself in the mirror and be like, has life been a lie, and what do I stand for, kind of thing. So I respect K's Maze. I would do the same. You gotta go for it again, run it back, rewind. But eyes on Zench now, because again, two good matchups into the K's Maze Sion, and it's time to prove whether that was, you know, beginner's luck, or if it was genuinely you are just better than this guy, even on his signature champion. So I'm interested to see how Zench performs in this one on a completely different champion to the Fiora, less of a lane, you know, duelist. I mean, Aatrox can duel in his own right, but Yeah, he's gonna have a champion where he can provide a lot more to the team fights as opposed to just kind of sitting in side lane. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about like both drafts. I think both drafts have their absolute strengths, and I think those are both two very good drafts that have potential of winning this game. But what draft do you prefer? If you were like a team, which one, like not knowing where the players are going with the draft,
Yeah,
what
so
draft would you rather have?
yeah, I'm gonna be completely unbiased here because I actually really no, I'm joking. Good in, baby. No, I'm joking. To be honest, I think it kind of depends where you're coming from. Like, if you're looking at Yin's draft, it's kind of similar to the last one. The only difference I would say is that the Nico has moved to support, and you've picked up a more scaling mid laner. And we saw Kim Jensen make a lot of plays in the early game, and not saying Azir isn't a champion where you can't make plays in the early game, but often Azir's it's better to kind of farm up, play your lane, don't roam too much, roam when you can, roam almost when it's like a guarantee. So it's a little bit different in that aspect, but even still, it's like as I said about this Yin roster, their early game will always be strong, and I think against basically every team in the SLE, you will see them dominate the early game. It's all about right now Wacky Wraiths controlling that period of the game and transitioning into a mid game where they can punish the sort of hole that Yin has in that aspect of their gameplay. So if I was Wacky Wraiths here, you gotta use this Lissandra, sacrifice your lane, and play for the other aspects of your team. If Lissandra sees a bad wave state, you gotta say, screw it. My matchup's done anyway. I'd rather make a play in bot lane and set my Jinx up to carry this game than get solo killed myself and pushed into tower with low HP permanently for the entire of the early game. So, yeah, a lot on Yusjin because he's seen the Nico and he's jumped at this counter pick here without even thinking like, could this be a flex pick? And he's been punished for it. So again, it seems to be the word of the day with this series. But a roster like Yin will force you as a team to do this. But it's all about adaptation here from Wacky Wraiths.
Definitely, and I think with what they've drafted, the Milio Jinx is something that I really, really like. I think they have good chances, even if their individual lanes are once again suffering.
Yeah, I think like as I said with the Wacky Wraiths draft here, it does kind of similar to the last game. It does complement their strengths very well. I think just the one thing I have to say is that the Gucci Yin draft complements their strengths even better. So it's like who's gonna benefit off playing their strength more than the other team, and I mean personally for me. Uh, I mean, you kind of asked which draft I would rather play. As an Azir main, obviously, I'd rather play the Azir. But in all seriousness, I actually do think the Gucci Yin draft there looks really strong. It's very well balanced. You kind of have an early, you kind of have a top lane that you can play around in the early game, and then transitioning into mid to late, you can play around the Azir and the Sivir. And if this game does hit that late game 30-minute mark, Jinx is a strong late game champion. But Azir and Sivir will shred through this front line of Wacky Wraiths because I don't think there are any better champions than an Azir in late game to get through a tank out of all the mages that are available right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, Azir's DPS, especially with the changes over the last couple of patches, is quite ridiculous. And I'm glad it's like back to a build that is more focused on hit and like attack speed instead of just a burst Q auto attack combo.
Yeah, it's
that-
funny. It's funny you say that because I keep seeing LEC Azirs trying to go for crazy shuffles, doing no damage, and then just dying anyway. So, yeah, I'm glad you pointed that one out. Listen, I'm not saying I know more than LEC mid laners, but
But you
seriously,
do know more than
wait,
LSD
seriously,
midliners.
I am so bored of seeing people buy Nash's Tooth and thinking that they're playing Malphite. It's just weird.
Yeah, no, I'm just glad to see Azir back in a position where it's really another like great carry position and less about the actual playmaking. And I'm just hyped to see what Kim Jensen is going to be doing with the Azir because at least during EV times he had the infamy of being just like on consistent 10 CS per minute, but also like not doing anything other than CSing for
I mean,
the first
okay,
20 minutes of the game.
I think I have to say that there's a general theme with mid laners in the SLE, and they all kind of play the same things. And where it differs, there have been a small handful of mid laners that can play the Azir. And just to list a few: D. Wowzer, Ties, Kim Jensen. I think Addy was able to play it as well. And if I list those out, it's a similar list to the best mid laners that I've ever played in the SLE. And you know, the point I'm getting at is Azir is not a champion that you can just pick up tomorrow. He's not a champion that you can just learn overnight. This is a champion that you have to invest a lot of time and develop your individual skills to operate, meaning that this it's sort of like if you are part of that elite group of SLE mid laners, this is the best champion for you, and it's going to be the champion that you're going to be able to pick to carry your team. So I think that speaks volumes to what Kim Jensen is to this roster, and then his skill level in regards to the SLE.
Yeah, and I mean, take it from someone who has played Azir for like 5 games and realized this champion is way too hard for me. I think whenever there's a high skill champion, oh my god, the early event 4-man knockup! Maze making a case for himself. Is it enough to take down Zench? Not really, but there's Butner and he gets the reset. And that's some action early on that I was not expecting. I was building up this whole story. But there is Wacky Wraiths coming in strong, getting that early first blood for their Jinx and the reset as well.
We see just they coming into the brush first, and how can you fight a level 1 Cyan? Gets the Q charge, finds a 4-man Q here. Massive root by Vicky saves his team, but not doing enough. Dream start for the rookie superstar Botner there, and this Jinx is already snowballing.
Yeah, so the point I was coming from anyway, that now that we've got like a little bit of breathing room, I hope, from someone that has a history of playing champions that are mechanically challenging and failing, and then playing other champions that are mechanically less challenging but still challenging in their own rights and performing better. I'm always so happy to see those high skill champs being picked up, especially in the SLE.
Yeah, absolutely, and Azir definitely being one of them. And whenever we see a high skill floor, high skill cap champion being played to a high level, it's just a pleasure to see. And we had the pleasure to see Adrian, of course, on the Azir. Some other famous players, Addy on the Vel'Koz, X-Ties on the Zoe, just turning heads around and showing up very, very high level of gameplay.
That's also why I'm really happy that Jace is being picked more often in the recent days. We have seen quite a few Jace plays in the show matches, and I think that's another one of those champions with a really, really high skill expression, and it's just really nice to see. Now, that being said though, Ace, once again, on his champion, on the Sejuani, looking for the gank, and he's not spotted out. He's evading vision quite fine.
Yeah, he
Goodman has to be careful.
In here, but it will be on Viggies to land this route. He does not land the route, and
flash! Oh, and the disengage from Delph saves Butner. And now there's Robbery on the counter gank. Ace, not aware of this just yet, is going to get slowed by the bite. And there is the pillar, and I think Ace is going to fall on the counter gank. Robbery fights the first kill. Schaffer has to flash out. Butner is going forward, is excited. Is it enough to take down Wiggs? Wiggs taking a big chunk. And another reset for Butner. Absolutely huge. This is the start and the Wacky Wraiths in general that we've been expecting from the start.
Yeah, and we see Viggy's missing the route there, but Gucci still forcing it, getting the flash out of Butner. But it's not over. Robbery is there for the counter gank. No flash for Ace himself here, and he goes down. Kill picked up there by Robbery, and now Butner just keeps auto-attacking, knowing his limits, knowing that he can get his one auto-attack off and run out with the Jinx. Huge start,
and
we see even more.
Is on super low HP, and Case Mace is going to get killed. but this is still an uncomfortable spot for Zenshi. There is Ace having to save him, and, well, turned out alright, but that was quite scary for Zenshi, I believe.
Yeah, we see midlane also Yushin dominating this matchup so far, going for
Oh,
the
and
tower
going for a
dive.
play and finds it! Beautiful flash! And tanking 2 turret shots, but he lives! And a solo bolo in mid lane, completely defying expectation! The cold grasp
Wacky.
of reality had really hit Kim Jensen there.
Yeah, Wacky Wraiths heard that analysts have been talking shit and just coming out swinging in this game 1, winning the level 1, winning the bot lane play. Okay, the top lane play did not go that well, but Yushin with the solo bolo onto the legacy mid laner for the side of Gucci, getting the lead in the mid lane. Absolutely, with individual play so far.
Yeah, now we are heading into the first break, and there's Wacky already like in a nice position. They have the bot lane priority. They are taking the scuttle, and I think this is a free Drake for Wacky Race. There's not a world in which they are getting contested with Ace on the top side clearing his camps.
Yeah, Gucci playing the other side of the map this time. And yeah, it just might be on the Zench again to be the carry for their team. The laner that has gotten a kill in his own lane so far. Even though it was with help of Ace, still Gucci will look for him to lead them into this game. Meanwhile, a Butner on the side of we see.
Okay, his Maze on very low HP is going to fall, but the slow one Zenj is not enough as well. Just barely half HP Ace from 1 turret shot. And there are so many health bars dropping, and yet there is just not a chance for Case Maze.
Yeah, and Jinx not level 6 yet, so Zench can be safe pushing out the lane and recalling. But yeah, Botner here from the side of Wacky Wraiths being quite big. Meanwhile, Zench slowly snowballing as well, and Kim Jensen gets his revenge.
Yeah, this is some explosive gameplay in the mid lane. This is quite the opposite of what I was expecting. But, I mean, I'm happy to see kills traded. And I'm also happy to see robbery on the gank. Chaffer has to be really careful. Black Shield being used, but it's not enough to save. And Delph picks up the kill. Not the one that you really want to pick up the kill on. But honestly, you're still happy you find a kill against the ADC. And, I mean, that's some time for Chaffer to not pick up CS. And that's great for Wacky Wraiths once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mice has to be careful. Zench's trade is completely ridiculous. Half health. I hate Aatrox. That was 3 Qs.
Yeah, Zench now in his comfort zone, absolutely. Meanwhile, Sheffer getting a little bit of a camp laid onto his lane. Butner so far 2-0-2, having a shutdown already on himself, and yeah, just
Oh, look at
both
Ace. He
teams.
goes for the deep vision. He is almost half the CS. At almost half the CS from Trundle. Is down a level. But he's still going for like confident deep wards. And meanwhile, Robbery is considering looking for another player on bot side. He is spotted out by the ward. And Wiggies knows that and backs out. But the wave state needs to be fixed anyway. Robbery.
Yeah, did they actually catch him on the ward? I don't think they did.
I mean, he sweeped it, but the vision getting denied should be something that Sheffer and Wiggies are aware of.
Yeah, that's true. And we see Gucci, the Gucci's mid laner Kim Jensen getting the solo kill back. So far, 1-1 into this game, onto the solo kills. Surprising start by Yushin, but Kim Jensen getting one back.
Yeah, and we see some more trading on the map, and now Ace has to back away from the Herald with Robbery and Usagen on the top side. There's also Delve now moved up, and this should be a fight that Wacky Race is taking, and Ace just queues over the wall, resets the Herald, or not entirely resetting it just yet, but there's Kim Jensen. There, his wig is moving up in a bit, but I think this one is over. This one goes over to Wacky Race.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. Wiggy has slowly moved up as well, but I don't think there's an angle for a fight. Also, Wiggy is in kind of maybe a little bit of a different position this game, not playing an engaged champion, not playing quite a straightforward champion. Will need to find himself more of unique angles maybe to start these fights. Will need to make some trickeries happen with the Nico, how you're supposed to play it, and yeah, excited to see him pilot this champion as well.
True, and now we see Ace in a bit of a pickle. There is the Trundle, SLE Trundle as we know him. And the subjugate is at the ready. He can definitely look to completely demolish Ace by now. And Kim has to be careful. Kim Jensen piloting the Azir is quite the safe pick, but there's always the chance of Usygen just finding that Glacial Tomb, and that could be quite frustrating to face. There is Ace in the mid lane waiting for a play to be made though.
Yeah, and Rubbery is here. There
Oh, and there is the ult being used from the Lysandra. Flashes out with a W as well. And barely lives. And Kim Jensen not able to follow up on that. And there's plates being forced on the bot side of the map. Wiggy's flashing forward, getting a good knock up on Robbery. Robbery taking some turret shots. Ace doesn't have his ultimate anymore. Glacial Prison not that already. And, well, this is a lot of ults being invested, but both teams are safe enough to live these plays.
Yeah,
Which is exactly what I wanted to see.
Lots of resources being invested by both sides. Lots of big cooldowns going off there. But yeah, other than some of the plates, no kills coming through so far. After that very explosive early game, we have gotten ourselves into a little bit calmer state of the game so far. And as Gucci is picking up the second dragon of the game.
Yeah. That's very nice. That's even Drakes. Pretty much dead even gold. And that means pretty much dead even stats. And that's exactly what I want to see, because I think these teams both scale very similar to each other. And that's going to be so exciting to see in even game state then.
Yeah, but how Wacky Wraiths kind of reacted to the Drake going down, I think they did not actually want to give the silver. They wanted to pick up the blue buff and contest it themselves, overtake themselves, but yeah, Gucci just taking it away from them and running out of the area.
Yeah. And there is one thing, and especially one player, that we've been highlighting for this entire cast, and right now I think this might be the time. Meanwhile, Zench finding another solo bolo with a flash forward and ult on the top side. But the point I was making, Büttner is in position. I don't know if he checked his gold recently, but he has taken so many plates, has the kills. He should be quite far ahead. 1,000 gold off Sheffer.
Yeah, 1,000 gold in front of Sheffer. Meanwhile, Zench matching almost exactly the same gold on the side of Gucci. So yeah, these two, this is going to be a classic matchup between the Bruiser anti-carry and ADC carry champion. Who will come out on top? So far, Zench has been the leader in this series.
But firing off the ult early, and this dive looks really, really anti-fun for the Gucci bot lane. Wiggy's on 1 HP, using his ultimate, but that actually leads to his demise as the rocket connects, and now it's only Sheffer. Sheffer finds a kill though on the Lysandra, falls as well though, and meanwhile on the top side there's yet another kill that Zench finds.
Yeah, and 2 for 2 over on the whole map as Casemate dies yet again in top lane. Meanwhile, Butner just getting more and more further ahead on this Jinx. This Jinx is so ahead of the curve. And yeah, this is the dream scenario really for an ADC like Butner here, getting so much resource invested in him, and he will be in the prime position to carry this game.
Yeah, and I mean, now look at Kim. He is in a really nice position to also carry. He has the classic Kim Jensen 10 CS per minute almost, as I was saying earlier, and is constantly hitting the turret, so he also has quite the gold in his pockets, and that means there is not all hope lost for Gucci, and Kim Jensen confidently taking that Jinx rocket. Not a worry in the world that this was gonna kill him. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Going. Mhm.
there is such a close goal difference between both teams that it could ultimately just come down to individual performance in fights or just teamwork in general, which is something that I can see Wacky Race being ahead.
Yeah, Wacky Wraiths definitely looking much better in this game, and we will see how much they can, how good they can rally around their AD carry. Can they be there for to peel for their star player, for their fed player? And yeah, this is gonna be something that tells a lot about this team. How can they perform in these SLE games? And we see Robbery going for an engage.
Biggies.
And Wiggy's on 1 HP usage in the front line as the Lissandra. Wiggy's falls, and there's the next one, but now with the double kill.
Yeah, Vicky is going for Massimo. Massimo ultimate giving his best impression of Kim Jensen in game 1, but no follow-up this time. Gucci just a little bit too behind in the items. No Zench here, the main carry from for that squad so far. And Butner there gets another 2 kills. So much gold invested into this player.
And I mean, look at Mace. He's already quite tanky. He is 0-4, but if we've learned one thing from famous silent players is dying is irrelevant on that champion, so long as you are getting minions.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has gotten minions. Not the highest of farm count, but he's there. He's there. TP coming in. Butner
Is a
having
play
fun.
being looked for against Zench, but Zench
Oh, this
gets
is
out with
huge.
the E, and now Gucci is on the turn. Wiggis finds a nice route. It's not enough to actually get a play down onto Usajin, but like it's good enough. It's forcing resources. The flash coming out there is huge because, quite frankly, I don't like facing Lissandras when they have flash up. Flash are always scary, no matter what champion you're playing.
Yep. Yes, indeed. We see more objectives being traded, Gucci getting the third game of game. Meanwhile, the Wacky Wraiths deciding to go for this mid lane turret. Yeah, trading all over the place so far. I think this kind of slower stage in the game favors Gucci actually, as I believe that they have 2 highly scaling carry champions, while Wacky
Yeah,
Wraiths have
but
only
are you sure though?
one.
There is, of course, only the Jinx that is like hyper scaling AD carry damage champion, but there's the Milio that scales better than the Nico. There's the top
That's
side that
true.
definitely scales better, and there's the Trundle to completely counter one of the tanks, which is most likely going to be Ace.
Yeah, and when you say it like that, yeah, that's true. But we see Ace in a bit of trouble here.
Ace is actually getting punished by quite a bit from the Wacky Rave side,
Zench is in
half
the bottom
health. But Zench now looking at a 1v4. Beautiful play from Wiggies finding Büttner's shutdown, and now Robbery on the way out, but it's not enough. Zench finds the shutdown too, and this is disaster for Wacky Raves, completely taking away from the points I was making. Mace has to run. Is he able to get out of this one? Zench still on the hunt, finds Usajin. Is it enough to take him down? He finds another beautiful combo, and well, it's enough to take down Usajin, or no, it's not.
Yeah,
This
Yurchin
is
leaves by a sliver of
close.
health, and we see beautiful flank there by Zench, finding himself on the top of Jinx, just going over. We see actually here, we see the end of the fight. But yeah, once this Jinx dies, there's no more gold, no more damage left from the side of Wacky Wraiths. Gets beautifully flanked, and I think Wiggies was the one that got kill credit there. But yeah, huge play by Zench, being the carry that his team needs him to be.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this. This is so close. Usajin almost falls as well, and right now, This is a really nice and really good position for Gucci. Because I think it's hard for Wacky Wraiths to fight back when there's just such a dominant force as Zenj being able to like initiate fights 1v4.
Yeah, dominant force and finding a beautiful flank there. It looked like Wacky Wraiths were so confused where this massive Aatrox just came from, and Butner there probably was like, on me, please help me, this Aatrox is killing me, but when they were able to react, it was just a little bit too late as Gucci were collapsing from the other side as well. Then again, that being said, Butner still living with both of his summoners up. If he is able to use those effectively in next fight, they can still annihilate Gucci in the team fight. And Butner gets to free hit.
Yeah, I mean, he is on 2 items, which is a nice spike for Jinx nowadays, with IE being valuable on 2 items already. But, I mean, it's still not too great. If Butner can't break through with the Aatrox or the Sejuani, then he has to hit other targets and Jinx preferably front-to-back fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Jinx prefers. We see some Baron dances around here. Yeah, some splitting. This time, no team being so like confidently ahead in this game. So we'll see how these teams play this out. Gucci having about 3,000 gold, 2,000 gold lead, and but as long as his Jinx is not getting touched, I feel like Wacky Wraiths are in a very good position to win these fights.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's 2 objectives up now, or soon there's 2 objectives up now, and that tends to be, well, how do we say, quite a scramble time, because both teams could start any objective, and both teams have to respond to the other team starting the objective.
Yeah.
So there could be a fight happening around the Baron while one person solos the Drake, and the other way around. There could be like plays happening around Drake's up, but now
here we go.
Wacky Wraiths are looking for a fight, but using so
hits
many
Jinx.
resources on Ace, I don't think that's enough. Delph is on 1 HP, is going to fall. Butner also not able to play this fight at all. And there's Usurgent down already. Kim Jensen coming in with Ace, and Robbery goes down too. And this is where Gucci Yin is showing class.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw just Gucci, the fact that they are first in the objective, first to set up their vision, letting themselves land so much poke, just approaching these fights. And we see, yeah, Robbery and Delph here, catching all this poke. And I feel like the fight is over before it starts. Sheffer prematurely uses a spell shield, so Yushin cannot ult him. And once that engage is failed, and once that Sejuani ult hits Butner there's no chance for Wacky Wraiths to do anything in these teamfights.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. That's not a situation where you could do anything. And yeah, I mean, we're looking at something like Soul Point plus just the absolute power play from the Baron now for Gucci, and Usajin finding that Glacial Tomb onto Wiggies, finds a kill there. Cheffer having to kite back. There's also Zenj in the mid lane, but that's a kill for Wacky Wraiths. That is taking down 1 Baron buff at least, but I don't think it's good enough. Kim Jensen on the flank looking for a play in, finds the beautiful ult. 4-man down for Wacky Wraiths. The only recall coming in is from Usajin, and I don't think he can hold the base alone.
Yeah, absolutely not. Gucci finding themselves a great team fight, recognizing the fact that even without Wiggies they can fight this, and Kim Jensen finding a beautiful flank, showing his best Savonix impression with a 4-man ultimate, and This looks to be the end for very, very promising. Actually, it won't be an end, I believe. But yeah, so far, best looking game for the side of Wacky Wraiths. But once this mid game has started, it feels like they are really lost.
Yeah, they have like one last attempt at getting back into this game, and Robbery is already going for the usage and also flashing forward. There is the shutdown onto Sheffer. There is Ace trying to get out of this one, and he might just be able to. There's the excited Putna, and is it enough? With the flash, probably not. But he finds another W, that's huge. But Ace is just a different kind of person. He gets knocked up, but I still think he's fine to get out. No! Butna and Delph on the chase. Meanwhile, Kai's Mice is facing down Zench. There is Robbery too, but I don't think they win this even 1v2. Zench is happy with this, is ulting, but now that his ult has run out, maybe Robbery can look for a return gank. Casemaze in the meantime getting dropped to very critical health.
Yeah, Casemaze wants to fight this, but his jungler is just not on the same page so far, and Zench is gonna actually try to fight this back. Has so much lifesteal going on for him, but the subjugate is doing so much work for Robbery. Robbery still wants, the subjugate is no longer active, and Zench is fighting this 1v2.
Yeah, now Zench is completely turning the play around, and Wiggies is there too. There's the rest of the cavalry showing up with Ace, and I think this should be another important kill. This time Casemaze is the one to fall, and we're just minutes away from Gucci ending, I think.
I mean, it could be a big goal lead so far for Gucci, but we see good engage, possibly by the Yusjin.
Yeah, and look at Sheffer, he is in a really rough spot with Kim Jensen's support though, and another huge ultimate combo. It's enough though, and I think that's game.
It just could be the game. A massive play coming in from Kim Jensen again after getting killed 1v1 in the early lane. I think this guy has made so little to no mistakes in this game. Turning these teamfights around with massive shooting shuffles and Robbery here look to be going down as well.
Yeah, there is Gucci still like not able to fully pull the trigger, but at this point it's only Casemaze, and I don't think he can defend against 3 players, especially not if one of them is Zench. But Delph is also back up, and she is backing out, giving more time and more minions to Casemaze.
Yeah, absolutely. Casemaze is slowly farming up his passive, getting tankier and tankier. So does Butner there. Maybe not tankier and tankier, but definitely getting more and more items in.
Especially with the LDR and now the BF sword, I think there's good chances for Butner to be the like
the carry that they need.
Yeah, I mean the last remaining lights for Wacky Wraiths.
Zench here.
Usage already below half health again, but Kim Jensen also approaching half health. Zench is looking for the play, gets the ultimate of the Demonic Ascension, going forward, gets his seed, has to go golden, but this is Butner now. Butner's show time is running, but Kim Jensen just comes in, turns off the PC, and ends it. This is game over for Wacky Wraiths. Solid attempt, but only Delph and Casemaze once again on the field, and I think Sheffer and Wiggies should be able to clear the base with this many minions. Yeah.
Oh, I think they absolutely will. Yeah, I don't think there's a Sheffer snipes down Delph for good measure.
And Wiggies is hitting the Nexus. There's the unstoppable also onto Sheffer, but Sheffer just tanks it with the Black Shield. And this is just a sad ending to the game. And Gucci Yin takes another 2-0 in this show match. And I'm beginning to see a trend again that I don't like.
Yeah, what's the trend?
The 3-0 curse is returning. I thought we finally broke it.
That's not the only thing returning because hello everyone, I am back. Sorry, I saw that opportunity, I had to take it. All right, listen, I'm gonna need to break this one thing down before I talk about the game as a whole. And that is that Butner is not a player that can be taken lightly. This man almost single-handedly took this game into his grasp and carried it through. And that is on a Jinx, up against the onslaught of the Gucci and solo lanes. And I think just off the back of that game, that was a real statement of not just for the rest of the SLE, but more importantly to the Wacky Wraiths, because from that game, I saw Kaze Maze and Yushin trying to play super aggressive in their lane and look for advantages. And yes, Yushin, you got the solo kill early, but it's an Azir. He outscales you. You're gonna have to kill him 4 or 5, 6 more times in order to make that one solo kill worth it. And what happened was Kim Jensen solo killed him back, and that situation is a complete disaster for the Lissandra. That's where Azir pulled through. We saw Zench getting solo kills onto Kaze Maze, and with the help of Aze as well, got so much gold, got turret plates, and at that point, Butner, it just wasn't enough. But the reality is if Wacky Wraith solo lanes can just hold back, just calm down, just relax, stop hinting, then you'll see a player that will be one of the stars of the SLE, in my opinion. But yeah, in general, Gucci in. What a fantastic game from them, and more importantly, the way I saw this, kind of watching it in the background, was at one point I was like, this is gonna be Zench versus Butner. And usually when you get this like Fed top laner, Fed bot laner kind of battle, it's all about, is Butner going to be able to position well enough? And he did. And in that case, it's like, it's all on Zench to be like, find a creative play. And it's really difficult to do that. A lot of top laners cannot do that. They just do not have that ability to do so. But what does Zench do? He looks for the most insane flank onto the enemy backline, landing... it was like the Shy in SLE, landing that flank, dashing over into the Baron pit, and as you said on Cast Makers, it was like the Wacky Wraiths players were so confused. What the hell's an Aatrox doing here? And down he goes, right? And I think watching this, if you're a top laner or any player in the SLE, you're going to be watching Zench off this and the last Showmatch, and you're going to be scared of this player. You're telling yourself, we could be in for another SLE great here in Zench. So... yeah, it was a fantastic game to watch, but Wacky Wraiths, don't be disheartened. I really hope that they don't do a certain thing that some teams have done after show matches where they kick players or disband, because Wacky Wraiths, they actually performed really well in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very interesting to see Gucci having to play a little bit different type of game. I even say they were kind of behind in the early phase, maybe in that 10-minute mark, and they had to play a much slower game this time, and so they did. They just took it slow. They built advantages through vision, and when it took all the patience necessary to just let Wacky Wraiths make a mistake, they got it, and they expected it, and they waited for it, and. Yeah, beautiful punish there at the Drake fight, where I think it all turned completely on Gucci's favor.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I mean, I want to shout out 2 players that potentially fell under the radar this game. And I think, so first of all, Kim Jensen on the Azir. It was really sad because I think one of his big shuffles in mid lane, the camera panned away to Alessandro recalling, which is a bit sad, but that is one of those Azir players where it's like, you can tell this guy is good on the champion, where he can look for these angles and he makes these game-winning Shurima shuffles that turns the tide of a fight. Because I think there was a few fights where he found the ultimate onto Butner, pushing him into the rest of the Yin squad, and he was gone. And once that Jinx is down, that's where the Wacky Wraiths lack a lot of damage. So big props to Kim Jensen, and also to Sheffer, because at one point, I was kind of thinking about it. I was looking at this Sivir build, and I was like, hang on. This is essentially a poke Sivir that just clears waves. And up against the Jinx, who's a hyper carry with Emilio, what better way to deal with that than to just outrange him? You're, like, the way this Wacky Wraiths composition sets up is that they group up. So these Sivir auto attacks, empowered by the W, they're going to land onto the enemy backline. And on top of that, we saw those Qs from max range with the Black Cleaver, so resistances are sort of ignored with that. We saw how much damage that Sivir was doing, and it was like quite a creative build. It's one of those builds where it's like, if I saw it, I might report the player, or I might honor you. So, I mean, it worked out very well there, but yeah, I think those two players, they might have fallen under the radar because Zench really put in an MVP-like performance. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Kim Jensen and Schaffer for a great performance in that game as well.
Drake?
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Hello.
Oh, look, it's the draft.
The
Welcome
draft
to
is here.
It's the draft. Anyway, we're back in draft, and yeah, it does seem like the bands are gonna follow the same theme. I think if you're Yin, it's one of those like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The last two games have gone extremely well for them, so they're gonna operate under the same lines. But this time, adaptation from Wacky Race, the Nico is gone.
Adrian, if your case is here, do you try to
No.
go for the Scion for the
No.
third time, or do you?
No, I
Something else?
think the way I'd see this is you're just kind of like, look, Scion is my best champion. It's like, who am I at my best? Scion. And this dude has just come and Goomba stomped me twice in a row. So, like, sometimes it is what it is. Sometimes people are better than you. And it's like, if your Kazema's here, you kind of have to take one for the team and be like, listen, my AD carry in the last two games performed extremely well. He performed to a level where I should trust him to be able to carry the games. And you kind of just need to go for something a bit less aggressive, something where you can not just throw the game away. And as I mentioned, that game here, that last game, it was essentially Zench versus Bootner. Zench was fed on one side, Bootner was fed on the other side, right? The only thing is the pressure against Zench was coming. The pressure against Case Maze was coming from self-inflicted actions, as opposed to on the other side where we saw Robbery set up the Jinx a lot of dives, a lot of ganks to get the Jinx ahead, whereas Case Maze was, I think one of them was a solo kill. Like, outside of Aza's first few ganks, one of them was a solo kill, and it's like, you are just losing on your own. There's no pressure up against you except for your opposite number. And it's like, yeah, when your ADC is performing, is fed, there is a responsibility on you to hold your own and not give it away. Because if it wasn't for that, then it wouldn't have been Zench against Bootner. It would have just been Bootner's fed. That's it. We scale. And so, yeah, I think going into this next game, definitely put the Scion on break. If you're Wacky Wraiths, you kind of need to look at it and be like, listen, Yin have done their preparation. This player is clearly leaving one of our strongest picks as a team open for a reason, and we cannot disrespect that. As much as you have to sort of as much as you are confident in your own abilities, you have to respect that the enemy team has come prepared. And it seems like leaving the Sion open and banning it twice in a row, playing against it twice in a row, coming up with counter picks, it does seem like they are prepared, and that's where you can have to take a step back and let other members in your team step up into the spotlight. And speaking of, we see Wiggy's now on his signature Thresh. Thresh slowly becoming a bit of a mascot in the Good Chi camp with our two supports this split. But yeah, honestly, Case Maze, I think I would play something just to stay alive.
Yeah, how would you feel about an early like R3 Ornn pick here?
I think the way I see it,
It's a good idea.
yeah, it's not bad. The only thing is Case Maze doesn't seem like a player who's gonna just pick a tank and sit back. He looks like he wants to trade. He looks like he does want to take the fight. And on a champion like on these tanks, a player like Zench will just rip you apart. He will tear you to shreds. He will look for optimal trade angles. He will look to punish you because he knows my champion will outdamage yours just as long as I play it correctly. And he is one of those players that will play it correctly. So the way I see it, K's Maze, you have the he's going for an R3 Ornn anyway, but you know, it could benefit. We'll have to wait and see. Like Aatrox is open. There's a lot of picks that are open that can play into the Ornn, so we'll see. But I personally would have liked to have had him wait for R5, go for a counter pick, but of course there are champion pool limitations. So yeah.
I just believe that with no Braum coming in it, with no Trundle being available anymore for the side of G, the Ornn was a possibility. It will be countered with something like Aatrox, with something like Camille, but I think it's a good bet for them to try to minimize the top lane disadvantage they've seen themselves being in. Zench is on fire today, so they need to cool off those fireworks in the top line.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a perfectly fine angle to go. I think for K's Maze, he just needs to stop the brakes a little bit and play a bit back. Don't look for trades too much because, I mean, the last two games we've seen how that's gone. But looking at the Wacky Wraiths team composition already, they seem to be putting together a bit of a death ball composition, a very straightforward, easy to execute. And although they've already done that this series and failed to put it to the test, I think they're going to have another go at it. And I think it's exactly what I would do if I was the Wacky Wraiths here. You've come up against a squad that, you know, has kind of beaten you twice in a row, and you want to just be able to give yourself the best chance of winning the game. After saying that, I see a Lilia, but yeah, Camille gets hovered here, as you were saying, Nicholas.
Yeah, and the Lilia, actually, Cassante also one of Zench's best champions, but the Lilia really forecasting an AD mid laner. We know that Yushin used to be an ADC player, so I think we might see something like a Tristana or some other midlane AD carry coming in from the side of Wacky Wraiths here.
I really hope for it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think Yushin these last two games, going into the series, I was excited to watch him to see how much he had improved over time, and it's kind of sad to see, but I can't help but say, like, in these two games, he has shown signs of last split Yushin, where he was just dying unnecessarily, getting caught a bit too much. And yeah, I think giving him a good matchup here would be a good scenario, and more importantly for his confidence going into the split.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an Orianna. It could be also a Corki pick coming in here for him, and yeah, there we see it. He's going to be pushed in definitely in this midline matchup. Break it down for us, Adrian.
Yeah, okay, so the way Talia has evolved over time is she kind of used to be this early game champion where you need to make plays happen in the early game, and during the early game you move around, you make plays yourself because you just naturally did more damage. You just threw rocks at people's faces and they just died in the early game. Nowadays, Talia has evolved into this champion where you actually don't do that much damage in the early game. You need to scale up. You need to get to your 2 or your 1.5 or 2 item power spike, and then that's where you start having power. That's where you start seeing the Talia kit shine through. Of course, you still move around and make plays, and what that has meant is that the counter picks to Talia has also changed. It's evolved from what we used to see people pick into Talia, where you want to go for range and you want to go for things that can match her, like the silence, like the twisted fate. And nowadays, it's the picks into Talia are early game lane bullies, because Talia cannot match that lane pressure anymore. She just cannot. She can't match the damage, and going for something like the Corki kind of contradicts the lane bully thing that you can do against a Talia. Often picks into Talia would be like a Syndra, like a Cassio, like a Oriana, something that I know Yusjin plays, and something like the Corki just it's sort of like, it's not a bad pick into the Talia because you do have the range, you can stay safe, but it's not giving yourself a chance to dominate the lane. And you know, as I said, for Yusjin, this is a this split, you guys mentioned it in game 1 that he could take the split as a redemption arc after what happened in the last split, racking up over 70 deaths over the course of the split. And I think, potentially going for a safer option and, minimizing those deaths is the angle. But personally for me, I know he's a talented player and I know he's got good mechanics. So I would have liked to have seen him something on a bit more lane bully side of things and being able to win the lane. Subscribe to the Good Chi YouTube channel.
You should not put them. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. Cassante, I've been very, very impressed by Zench's Cassante so far. I think he's one of his better champions. Actually, same goes for both Gucci top liners. Cassante, the Giga Chad, has been a popular pick for both of them. And in this matchup against Ornn, I think it's definitely a matchup where we can see some solo kills happen in this top side.
Funny you mentioned the similarity between Zench and Ruzu, because I feel like, now that I think about it, right? Flay and Wiggies play the same champs. Sheffer and Kanze, they both play that weird Sivir shit. And and then Ruzu and Zench.
I think both
Did we
of them
copy
are.
and paste?
You maybe you tried cooking, but instead just like really just hit Control C.
We did
And
we did that thing where you add one boiled egg to your instant noodles and went, I'm a goddamn chef.
yeah, I guess so. And then you went and fucking did it again.
We asked ourselves what we want for lunch today, and the answer was what I had yesterday. No, I'm joking. To be fair, I think if you look at mid jungle for both squads, that's where the big difference is. So, but yeah, I think let's break down this draft a little bit, because I think the Wacky Wraiths draft, the Lilia is slightly out of place for me at least, but I actually really like what I'm seeing, and it's one of those things where, you asked after the last game draft, which one would you rather play in? I think any position in this Wacky Wraiths roster looks really comfortable to play in. Subscribe to the Good Chi YouTube channel.
It is working. It is working. The like almost hidden message in your analysis is spilling out into the public, and I think so far it's working fine.
Yeah. Wait. Before we go into any other analysis, have you guys tried Yomi's yogurt?
Yomi's yogurt. Oh no, are you gonna tell me about it? You gotta.
Yep. Guys, I would like to thank today's sponsors of the video. We have been recently partnered up with a company called Yomi's Yogurt. Personally, my favorite flavor is raspberry. Go ahead and try it out. It's pretty good. What's your favorite flavors, guys?
I'm not a yogurt guy, I gotta be honest. I'm more into like noodles. Specifically, Flay's fettuccine is it's just really
Ooh,
good.
yeah. Sliced fettuccine is pretty good. I've been there a few times myself, actually.
Yeah, damn it.
Well, actually, Mikis, you have your own culinary joint yourself, and where do you match up when it comes to competing against Flay's fettuccines and Yomi's yogurts?
I mean, if you want a little bit of snack, if you have an SLE game coming up and you feel like you cannot have a full meal, but you need just that little bit of extra boost, little bit of a weak side king feeling in your stomach, definitely grab some Savage sandwiches in the SLE store, in the SLE, what's it called? What are those things when you put in a coin and it drops a sandwich?
I don't know. Oh, a vending machine.
Yeah, SLE vending machines all over the place, all over the Europe. SLE Amateur League, Supreme League Europe, I think it was called back in the day. Not anymore. We're not a league. Don't fire us. Don't kill us, Riot Games, please, if you're watching.
We're super logo editors, that's what we are. And I'm just happy to edit some logos with you guys, and also to just like look at the logos of both Gucci and Wacky Wraiths. Why? And well, those are some iconic logos, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's a lot of red, and you know, what do you guys relate to when you see the color red? Because for me, I think of, you know what, I'll let you guys go first.
What was the question?
Oh no, the
yes!
Yomi's yogurt.
Yomi's yogurts, guys! Go and grab your favorite flavor of yogurt. Don't miss out. Use the code SLE Vitagen, because he plays for Vitagen, and grab yourself a little pot of Yomi's yogurt, guys. My favorite flavor is raspberry. Mikis is a biased little asshole, and he's promoting his own brand. But yes, Yomi's yogurt. Go grab. Oh, we're sponsored by you as well. Actually, they're both good. You know what? Grab yourself a Savage sandwich, sit together with a cup of Yomi's yogurt, and have a lovely Friday evening watching the SLE games. Oh my god, who is
I
this?
hate to admit it, but like I'm the kind of person to put my Yomi's yogurt on my Flay's fettuccine.
Oh, Mikis. You can't have that. You can't have that. Oh no.
I mean, if you don't get Savage Sandwich, you just might not be an SLE champion. 100% win rate, by the way.
Yeah, I am in fact not even a champion, but I feel like a champ whenever I'm casting with you guys. It's always a pleasure, and we're heading into the game. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we see again both teams 5-manning already. Gucci trying not to end up like previous game, scouting it out this time with the Maokai sapling and.
Oh, and we have some spicy invite from Wacky Waves here, and this could be dangerous for Kim Jensen if he walks in there.
Oh, he's gonna
He's-
walk in there, isn't he? He smells something to be wrong.
He
but,
is smelling the cooking.
Yeah, but he's gonna be very cautious here. He thinks about putting down a ward, decides not to, and goes as
he's
safe as
shooting.
possible. Like he knows this. How does he know it?
My man's got a sixth sense.
Stream
That's-
sniping.
With the delay on top, I think he's definitely doing
Yeah.
that. But that being said, though, I think that one was already pretty sick, without anything
Yeah.
even having happened yet.
Borderline ominous.
Oh,
We see a
but
fight.
there's the early fight on the bot lane. Schaffer and Butner both firing hard already. Delph and Rig is already at half health.
Oh, and these Qs are hitting so far for Sheffer. A player with this high mechanical skill like Sheffer, I'm actually quite excited to see him on. How can he perform on this Ezreal pick?
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance.
They get
We'll
level
see.
2.
And they got the level 2.
Ghost blocked by Botner already paying.
Oh, Wiggy's hex flash forward and the hook. Beautiful play. And Chaffer comes in with the E forward as well. And that's the first blood against Butner. Beautiful play. And you know that it's time for some good old fresh when Wiggy's on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Viggy's with his legendary trash finding the engage beautifully. Also, a bit of disrespect by Butner there. Oh, and he misses a cannon. Oh no, that hurts.
That hurts me physically as well.
Yeah.
But we've all done it, and it happens every now and then. It's just bad when it happens on stream, but there's the flash forward for Mace. Confident play. Wiggy's hook is missing. Robbery now pretty fine. Is actually looking for a play on the turn, but I don't think he can. And he has to be really careful. And there is Kim Jansen flashing over the wall. Robbery also having to flash over. And this is a full-on 4v4 in Wacky Race jungle at minute 3.
So much chaos. Yushin flashes forward, but remembers that he's not the late game Corky. Just
Oh, but Delph dies to Chaffer. Chaffer 2-0, looking for more. Getting some damage off onto Butner. Has so much damage because of the Conqueror. The knock-up coming in from Ken Jensen as well. Chaffer going free for free. And is absolutely in a great position at minute 3.
thing that happened last game. Butner that time getting so fed. This time Sheffer 3-0 in 3 minutes. This is an absolute dream start for the Gucci AD carry, and he will try to show what he can do with an early lead.
Oh, and Zenj, beautiful W, cancelling out the E from Kaismais. And this is a big trade.
Oh,
And
oh my
that
god!
auto attack is enough and Zenj lives.
Dude, Zenj is on absolute fire today. Jesus Christ, I did not expect that he will kill him there, but he somehow gets it done. Yet another solo kill in top lane.
Savage, what did you mix into their food? Did you give them like some special sandwiches or what happened?
Yeah, they ate some savage sandwiches before the game, and this is what happens. Zenj took 3 for himself because he didn't want to cook any food, and yeah, just see the results, guys. If you want to play the same way as the Gucci lads in this series, be sure to grab some savage sandwiches.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely works out wonders for Zenj. She has been playing well both games already and is already 1-0 on the third game, and I think this is shaping up to be another one of those games.
Yeah, so far so good, and we see.
And there's another play being made by Zenj, and he has the Q3 ready, finds the knockback, but it's not quite enough, it's just a stun, but there is Ace knocking back Kaismais. Is it enough? Kaismais on very low HP, Robbery is there, big damage, finding the sweet spot on the W, and there's the ult from Zenj, and there's the CC. Ace picks up the kill, and Zenj, once again, showing his talent on pretty much anything. Everything he touches turns to gold. Midas touch on the top lane from Zenj.
Yeah, yet another dominating performance so far from Zenj. Kaismais is being counted as one of the most more reliable players in the side of Wacky Wraiths, but so far today is not his day at all. 5-0 Gucci.
And I mean, we're looking at dominant lanes all over the map. The only lane that is even like remotely behind is mid lane with Kim Jensen, and even that looks to be pretty fine in the trades. It's just a little bit of a CS gap overall. Kim Jensen though, a force to be reckoned with, especially on a scaling pick.
Yeah, that's true, and yeah, Kim Jensen being the only player a little bit behind, but that's I think due to the mid lane, to the jungle roam that happened before. But yeah, that being said, Corky definitely a great scaler himself. If there's a chance for Wacky Wraiths to come back into this game, they will have lots of damage dealers. Last 2 games they only had I think 2 real damage threats. this game, I believe they have as much as 3 real damage threats coming into the mid game, with Corki and Lilia being solid champions in that regard themselves.
Yeah. I mean, there is always the chance that more damage is good. However, I think right now, damage is the least of Wacky Wraiths' concerns if they're just folding like paper.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And but for once they have an Orin. Yeah, they have a lot of scaling, but Gucci's looking so strong so far. Yeah, what would you say? What would Wacky Wraiths need to stay into this game?
Ace is looking for a play on robbery. This is definitely something he doesn't need. And I mean, Ace has his ult ready, has a bit of damage, but it's definitely not enough. Flash forward is good though, and he actually finds the kill on robbery. This was just masterclass from mechanical performance on Maokai. And Kim Jansen now looking for the kill on usage, and then he finds it. And Ace is still alive. Casemace now finally gets the shutdown, but this is so much tempo being invested.
A lot of tempo lost from the side of Wacky Wraiths, and critically, the lane we said that is going the best so far from them, mid lane, gets solo killed, and it gets from bad to worse from the side of Wacky Wraiths. Now they're zoned off, and Robbery gets solo kill on Kim Jensen.
That is surprising. I don't know if Kim Jensen just did not expect the gank, or was just caught off guard by like an E hitting him. But the Lilting Lullaby is still available to Lilia, so it must have just been a good gank there.
Yeah, interesting how did that happen, but we see some good laning in bot lane, and Gucci is slowly setting up for this Drake. They definitely do have the advantages necessary to take this quite safely, and as long as Corki doesn't make a huge package play, I think they would be able to secure this quite confidently.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. And I mean, there is just so many lanes that are brutally winning that it's kind of not making too much of a difference. You're gonna play from behind anyway, even if your Corki was playing just fine. And that being said, though, talking about winning lanes, there's another kill for Wiggies as Robbery dies in his own jungle again, and Gucci now has full control of the river.
Oh, but I think they're not done yet. I think they're gonna look for a dive here, and we see a gang coming in from the...
Wiggies with the flash E, and there's Ace. No, the move by Rakan only gets Ace closer, but somehow Butner is still alive, Delph is still alive. What is going on?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, happy that. Oh, let me see. Top lane heavy trading. Robbery's here.
Oh, this is so close. But the two-man knock-up from Zench. Zench could absolutely go down as a hero, but it's not enough. Casemace finally stopping this monster in the top lane. Meanwhile, the bot side is looking like shambles. Both of them at pretty much 0 HP, just barely living and hanging on in lane. But this is a 3-0 Ezreal they're staring down. This is not easy to face whatsoever.
Not at all, and they recall before Ezreal can stack up his ultimate to try to snipe them down. Good decision by the side of Wacky Wraiths, and we see getting a little bit of a win on the top side, killing Zench there.
Yeah, now we see Ace picking up the Drake. First Drake of the game at 11 minutes. Finally, some like delayed Drakes. It has taken this game far longer to find a Drake than anything else.
Yeah, and we see another solo kill happening here. Kim Jensen gets 1v1 again by Yuzjin, as I think Yuzjin has had surprisingly lots of success in this mid lane, 2v2 so far in this game and in this series. It's not necessarily that Kim Jensen has been like dominated or anything. Overall, Kim Jensen has had a good series himself, but some of these solo kills going for the Yushin, and yeah, I think he can be happy about that part of the game so far.
But Wiggy's now on a interesting play. Ace is also there, Sheffer is there, and I think this is just absolute dominance from Chi. Again, there's 2 kills, 1 for Ace, 1 for Sheffer. This is beautiful, and this is masterclass of how to snowball a lead in a lane. They just keep making plays around that already ahead Ezreal, and it just works because why wouldn't it? It's a fat Ezreal.
Yeah, why wouldn't it indeed? Ezreal is so fed, having even bigger of a CS lead than Yushin in the mid lane, and yeah, as long as they keep continue making these plays around this Ezreal, I don't see Gucci losing any of these 3v3s or 2v2s.
Yeah, and Ustajin now in a bit of pickle, but is able to maybe find Kim Jensen with the last auto attack. Wiggy's takes him in return. No, actually, the kill goes over to Kim Jensen, surprisingly. And now Robbery has to be careful, gets the 2-man sleep, is very much playing on the edge there. Ace could have maybe found like the CC into Q kill, but like that was just too little of a time window.
Made is here.
And that Case May is going in with the ultimate, and that's with the not lilting Lullaby, the passive of Lilia coming in clutch, taking down Ace, surprisingly. There is still Wacky Rice Way just firing at it. It's insane.
Yeah, Wacky Wraiths definitely after that very, very bad early game, not giving up, and off of back of Yushin, that actually have made so many good plays, and Yushin individually has been an absolute force in this mid lane, not wanting to go down yet again on 0-3.
Yeah, and I mean, there is still like hope, but the hope is only going to come so late into the game, though. It's a world in which I can see Wacky Rays win just over maybe Gucci Yin being tired out. But like overall, they are showing no signs of that just yet.
Oof, that's a big rocket. That could have been big as well. But yeah, I agree with you. But that being said, this Corki has already finished his call, has had 2 solo kills, some platings as well, good farm. Yushin definitely in
Another big
form.
rocket.
Oof, yeah, in form to do a lot in this time. And he also has what's the first strike, so there's probably some gold coming in from that as well. Actually, could we see the gold graph? I just want to see how much Corki is. Yeah, it's like 1.3k ahead of Kim Jensen in mid lane. Actually, being the only champion in his team, being competitive with the side of Gucci in the gold lead. Actually, second most gold in the game, just behind Sheffer here.
Yeah, but like that being said though, I mean, there's just always a chance just a random catch happens. Like, for example, the one happening in the river right now, like Xayah's being like caught out by Ace, but like, is it enough? No.
Oh.
And there is the lilting Lullaby coming in. Robbery
But Robbery
is a bit greedy though as he stares down Kim Jensen, and Usajin finds the kill. Robbery
Yes,
flashing forward for Kim Jensen though, and Sheffer finds a kill on Delph. There's so many things happening all at once. It's so hard to pay attention to any of that. And Wiggy's is looking for more. Gets slowed down by
Sheffer
Robbery.
is so brave here. He's 1v3 and actually
Sheffer?
being out-leveled by 3 levels by the side of Yushin. Very, very brave play, and he's forced to flash out. Yeah, so much fighting in the bot lane jungle that Gucci is actually not healthy enough to secure this Drake just yet, and we will see a repeated play, and we critically see that Yushin has a package, so if there's a time for that, Wacky Wraiths are going to be stronger even without with having with being 3k gold down. it is right now their strongest member in their team has the big package, and if they can go
the
for
big
it,
package is coming in. Usajin finding the one shot on Kim Jensen. Wiggins is also not in the great position. Delphus on low HP looking for a more, but he can't find it. Gets killed by Cheffer. Cheffer on 1 HP though is not enough to take him down. Usajin just looking for Butner. Coming flash forward. And Wacky Wraiths are fighting back.
absolutely huge play by Houston. We have taunted Butner to be the great star, the great savior for Wacky Wraiths, but so far in this game that has looked so
Ace was looking for
bad
the steal
early.
there, but now he's out of position. Zench is there to maybe save the day. Lilting Lullaby just comes off cooldown. Case Mace finds the kill. Robbery getting chunked by Zench, but it's not enough. Zench actually fighting him with the beautiful flash and dash forward. And now Usajin is able to pick up Zench though, and that's the prime position you want Usajin to be in.
Yeah, there's not much better position. We see great ult coming here, one-shotting Kim Jensen and avoiding the Maokai ult as well, and then being in best position here to deal damage, killing the support and dealing enough damage for Butner to finish off Sheffer here as well. Sadly, Butner dies here, but that's just enough work put in by Yushin to carry this team fight.
Yeah, and also just overall, the entire side of Wacky Wraiths is suddenly come online. Like right now, the double knockup from Kai's Mice is absolutely sensational. There is another attempt at a knockup, but it's not found. Sheffer finds the kill, and there's 2 kills going over to him actually. But the attempt was so good, there's just not enough members of Wacky Wraiths around to go for that play. And now Kim Jensen jumping over the wall just gets quickly secured by Usajin. This was not the play to look for, but this is crazy. There's proactive plays being made by Wacky Wraiths, and it's mostly turning out alright.
Yeah, if I'm Yusjin here, I'm just telling my team, do not make any plays without me. I am 80% of your damage right now. Just wait for me. If I'm there, we fight. If I'm not there, we don't fight. And here we see Wacky Wraiths being punished by the side of Gucci, and the play is salvaged by a little bit by the fact that Kim Jensen just goes too deep and gives over another free kill for Yusjin.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely indeed. But meanwhile, I think it was Gucci that secured the Herald, and yeah, it's gonna help them to stop the bleeding. Maybe fasten up their own snowball, because they really need it with the side of Wacky Wraiths, Yushin being so huge, and on this one of the better scaling champions in whole League of Legends.
Of course, I think right now Gucci is in a spot where they're already showing that, at least personally, I have them like on a high standing, both Gucci rosters. And Usajin though, proving me wrong as I say that. Kim Jensen not having too great of a game here on the Talia. But my point is, Gucci Yin being 5th in the power ranking is something that I'm surprised about. I think they are just like Gucci Yang and some other teams, a team with title ambitions, and this is like clearly showing here. That being said, though, Zench in a really awkward spot goes for the ult, and it's turning out alright so far. The lilting lullaby also being used. He's just Wraith was forcing all the ultimates from Wacky Wraiths, and now in the meantime, Gucci is taking down the mid lane, and there's not really a lot of cooldowns available to the side of Wacky Wraiths that they can use to stop that.
Yeah, they had to use so much resources from the side of Wacky Wraiths to actually get Zench down there. And critically, we saw. I think there was no Corki, used in there. So yeah, not enough damage. But now Sheffer is in trouble.
Sheffer caught out, but like beautiful E and beautiful flash. Is he able to live there?
My
This
God.
is some expert movement, and Sheffer
Oh.
actually trades 1 for 1 big shutdown for Bitna, but like this was beautiful stuff from Sheffer. The footwork was like on point, spot on.
Yeah. Sheffer absolutely popping off there. It looked so scary for Wacky Wraiths. 4 people jumping on him, but he just kiting around, jumping around, moving, dodging, almost getting like I think even 2 kills there. And we see here Robbery being almost one shot by Sheffer here. Deft also, Delph also almost dying when here Butler coming last in here and gets taken down. Yeah. Amazing Israel display.
Yeah, now we are at the Drake, Infernal Drake. It's not just the Drake that you want to give, and Wacky Wraiths are starting it. They're fighting for it and Xayah with Bitna. Bitna is coming close, and there's the engage from the side of Gucci Ying. Delph already on low HP is falling to Wiggies, but now Usajin is the one we need to look out for. He has the damage, he has a lot of potential tools to destroy Gucci with, but he's also so low HP.
Oh, he needs to land those. He needs to land those rockets. That's the critical part for Yusjin. And who even got the dragon? Red team got banned. Yeah, okay. So Wacky Wraiths get the dragon. We see the package being used here. Yusjin going over all of these members, but I don't think it actually hits anyone of value. That's why the team fight actually looks so close, and we see Wiggy's shutting down Yusjin in that team fight. He's not able to deal all the damage that we have used to seeing from him, and yeah, it turns out to be much closer than I would have expected. Next play, I think is going to be Baron. I'm not even sure. Again, similarly to game 2, I think these both teams are so evenly matched here, and macro and the vision play is going to be huge. If Gucci can repeat the success they had in the previous game, I think they should be able to choke Wacky Wraiths out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see the setup that they go for.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Baron is an option for Gucci, honestly. All they need is to create some space on the map, and I think Zenj and Kim Jensen are doing that right now.
Yeah, maybe on the side of Wacky Wraiths, all they need to do is give Yusjin vision, give him eyes. If he's able to land these rockets, then he'll just poke Gucci out, and there will be no chance for them to actually do anything. But oh, it's huge ult lights on.
Usajin now coming in for the one shot, and this is disaster for Sheffer. And now we're looking at Wacky Wraiths. They have the high damage team comp. They could be looking at the Baron, and it's very hard for Gucci to contest that. That being said, though, Delph has to be careful. 1 HP is going to tick down to the Demonic, and that's a kill for Ace. And there is the Call of the Forge God, hitting no one, sadly, and Zenj is now moving forward for the play, getting that ultimate off, finding a kill on Robbery. Usajin is hooked by Wiggy, so he's going over the wall. Beautiful flay, and there is so many plays being made. Butna, though, getting out of the situation, and the license saves them on the red buff.
Wiggy goes for a flash hook, yells at his team, somebody come with me, we're dying together, and just gets himself killed. Luckily, I think Kim Jensen getting out, but it actually works out to extend. Robbery goes down, and looks like Gucci are the ones going for this Baron. Yusjin is here, massive bolt.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the carries from Wacky Wraith's side. There is Usajin. The auto attack is enough. That's so much damage. The triple kill. We're looking at him. But like right now, they should be looking at Baron. This is too good to not take.
Yeah, it's a star game. It's a star performance for Yusjin, a breakout game, and I've never seen him pop off this hard, but this time he's just not letting his team lose, landing critical ultimates, and yeah, it's looking so good. You see the teleport coming in from him. Just look at this first battle. instantly delete Tim Jensen. Actually damages Sheffer here as well. Goes off once Zench goes on him, and that's another
Beautiful
massive.
second rocket, and then the
Yeah.
auto attack. It's quite the load he's firing every time with his ultimate shots, and well, he's only getting stronger. He's soon on the Bloodthirster, I believe, is what he's building into right now, and that's gonna be some extra AD and some more survivability with that lifesteal as well.
Well, I didn't check the Yuschin's build, and yeah, he's going for quite an expensive, the more of auto attack / like marksman type of build, and it still scales really well on the rockets as well. So as we see, the damage has been massive from him, and if Gucci plans to win this game, they really need to catch out Yuschin. If Yuschin is going to be able to land these rockets, this is gonna be huge. And he's looking for I guess he's waiting for a package, right? Yeah, there he comes.
Yeah, and Usujin is the hero in the dark. He's going to be lighting the path with his package, and he's going to be the one that this fight is going to be rolling around.
They want it. They're going for it.
Tim
Massive
Jensen is in
package
danger,
coming.
but he's barely taking
Yuschin
enough
dies.
damage that
Sheffer
Usujin
is alive.
dies, but there is still Butner, and Butner is dealing damage. In the meantime, Sheffer is doing the same though, and it's now Kaismace and Butner against Sheffer and Wiggies, and Sheffer dodges aside. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Sheffer, Yuschin just goes in, gets hooked again by Wiggies, and gets shut down by Sheffer here, and they are the two main carries for both of their teams. The one that dies first is the one that is going to lose his team the team fight. After that, we see Butner trying his best to carry this, but we see look at Yuschin just going in, does not land that much, gets the Talia, but that is not enough. As long as Ezreal is alive, he's fine, and yeah, Ezreal here playing beautifully, going in and out of the team fight, securing 2 kills, damage on the third as well, and that's gonna be Drake for Gucci Gaming.
And what a flash there as well. Wow. This is the closest game we've seen, and it's almost a bit unfortunate that it's the third game, because this one leaves you wanting more, and also is, at least for me personally, already a point where I'm more or less a little tired.
Yeah, a bit tired as well, but we see Wacky Wraiths playing better and
Zench.
better every game.
Zench plays it well, but like just can't get out of there, and that's just the nature of being on a side lane against a team that has such a good peak potential with the tools they were given. There was a 4-man commit. And yeah, we see Sheffer on the mid lane taking some turrets, but I don't think base race. Sheffer is
finishing recall. Okay, there, yeah.
hitting at least a bit of turrets, and that's a false recall, but like it's so much progress for the side of Gucci.
Yeah, it's so good for Gucci. They trade one turret, one like secondary turret for an inhibitor, and it's a bit of a blunder from the side of Wacky Wraiths, just sending 5 players, not respecting Sheffer's pushing ability, and yeah, Sheffer punishes them.
Yeah, there's the true shot barrage. Quite elegantly hitting nothing. However, I mean, we're looking at a dead even game now. It's such a banger, really.
Dead even game, and every single player is like playing a huge part. But Yuschin and Sheffer being the 2 main carries for both of their squads.
And now Wacky Wraiths take another mid lane turret, and there is no objectives up yet, but there is Baron spawning in a minute. Do you think the teams will play around it?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's gonna be a huge thing for Gucci to be the first one there, to put down the vision and put down the saplings, because again, Yuschin needs eyes, he needs vision, he needs to see the opponent to be able to poke them out effectively. And yeah, this is a perfect position. Only Sheffer needs to be careful not to be hit by anything from Lilia. As long as that happens, Gucci should be fine here.
Yeah, and we're looking at a position for at least Wacky Wraiths where an ace against them could straight up just cost them the game.
Yeah. It could, and so far they are not able to establish the vision. So, yeah, that's been a progress for Gucci so far. But again we see Yushin being healthy. I think he will have a package up again quite soon. And he goes for a solo kill onto Sheffer.
my
Goes
God.
for the hero play. but it's-
Usajin, you're making me nervous. Those plays are so risky, but I like them so much as well.
Yeah, now he recalls, and yeah, Gucci recognized the fact that Yushin might need recall here, and they just go for the Baron.
Is tanky, but he's getting knocked into the team. There is a full-on fight happening now. Zenchen, 3 members going all out, but now he's not tanky anymore. Butna is looking for him. Meanwhile, the Baron is finished. Kim is the first to fall. Kaismais is also super low. Robbery falls. There's Usajin and Butna still alive. Dodell finds a knockup. Butna going for the ult. Featherstorm. And Schaffner
Might be a
lives.
Penta.
There is the chance.
Oh.
Schaffner against the world. He already is on 3 kills, but there's Usajin and Delph healed up from the redemption. And, well, we're looking at such a close series, and I like that Schaffner, after all of this, decides to just save at least one Baron buff for this team.
Yeah, smart play by Sheffer here, and again we see such a scuffed teamfight just on all sides of the rift. Sheffer critically gets out of the Zaya's feather call and is able to finish it up, but overall, even though Gucci gets the Baron, Wacky Wraiths wins the teamfight.
Yeah, this is so close. This could be decided the Drake fight right now. This could be decided in any fight, really. And we're seeing Usajin starting the Drake. Infernal Drakes are so valuable for both teams. I don't think any of these teams want to drop these. And with Lilia picking it up, Robbery securing the Drake. Wacky Wraiths is really happy. And their bot is getting more secure by the minute.
Yeah, surely, and yeah, not the best games for other players in these teams, but yeah, Yushin and Sheffer, the first real kind of star against star duel so far in these show matches that I remember. Yeah, these two guys are just putting on a show, putting in an absolute class, superstar against superstar in this game.
Yeah, love it or hate it, Usajin is performing now to the point where he is quite literally the sole carry that is keeping Wacky Wraiths in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, with Sheffer doing the same thing on a Gucci side. So yeah, it's very interesting to see. We are just gonna play for yet another dynamic team fight, and it's an absolute epic. It's a 35-minute game already, and yeah, we see all these players slowly finishing their builds. No room for error these times for these carries, and I'm so excited to see these upcoming minutes.
Yeah, this is quite literally going to come down to potentially even a single pick, but like most certainly the next big team fight loss. And we're looking at a potential engagement onto Sheffer. Delph not going for it. He's too low HP. He's not risking it. Sheffer is going for the play though, and he's getting punished. Robbery gets the kill, and now Gucci has to be careful. There is the Lilting Lullaby against Wiggies. He's going to be definitely dropping Robbery, picking up the kill. Usajin clearing the wave, and there's now a 5 versus 3 situation on the map.
Yeah, and the main thing is what is Wacky going to do with this newfound advantage? It's 30-second death timers on both top outliners from Gucci. What can they do? There's not that much on the map to take, so it feels like the mistake won't go punished so far, and both teams are just gonna be able to get some farm in. So yeah, that's a massive shutdown. I think it was the Zaya that picked it up on the Israel 1000 gold. So that's a huge chunk going out to help Botner here.
Yeah, I mean, Bitna is, quite frankly, just as scary as Usajin right now. And we have not been looking at him too much just yet, because, well, Usajin's performance is insane this game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But Zaya on six items, being an absolute terror in late game, and whoever just stands in front of her is going to die, as she will be able to deal so much damage. And we see blue team going for a massive.
Oh, there
flank.
is a massive Ezreal ult, and there is Ace also on the hunt, and this could be the sudden game, and we did not expect. We were just talking about the items that the Xayah has, but if the Xayah dies early, those items don't matter, and now it's a 5v3 in favor of Gucci Ying, and there's Cheffer and Wiggy's pushing up close, and there's also Ace being the front line that they need.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
terrible news for the Wacky Wraiths. Now they have to defend without their carries. Can they do it? The hook lands.
It's so hard to carries down. There's only one goal in mind, and that is to clear the way. Stealth, what are you doing? You can't be looking for these plays right now. No! Two more members of Wacky Race fall. Gucci is taking the win right now as we speak. And that's a free. And now win the show match once again. Gucci once more showing up to the fight. Wow.
Oh.
Or are we seeing
Are
Britna's
they?
miracle
yeah.
save? No, we aren't. But Zench
Oh.
going in there for the last hit. Some nice showing from both teams, especially the last game was one of the most hyped things we have seen in the show matches today.
Yeah, absolute banger coming in game 3, but oh, the flank teleport from Zench coming in. It's slowly turning out to be his signature play. Whenever Gucci needed his team, him to pull out the flank, whenever their carries were so strong that you had no idea how can they actually die in these games, Zench pulls out an insane flank, getting both Zaya and Corky down, and once they were dead, there was no coming back into this game.
Yeah. I mean, it is so hard to play these like late game fights if everything is held together by like a single thread. And if that thread gets torn off, what are you gonna do? You're just hopeless and desperate. And at this point, Wacky Race just couldn't follow up on that last beautiful fight at Drake.
Yeah. Oh, guys, what a last game to round off the show match we have here. And guys, honestly, Yuzjin and Sheffer, both of you guys take a fucking bow, because I think what we saw here was two players at the top of their game. The mechanical prowess that Sheffer had just displayed in this game was unreal. On top of that, Yuzjin, a player who he kind of struggled in game 1, game 2, didn't look too good. He comes in with this Corky performance in my opinion, in a matchup where Talia should really be getting the upper hand, in all honesty, and he just completely swept the floor with Kim Jensen here. I think I was watching the game and I saw Corky complete 2 or 3 items in the time that Kim Jensen had built a Zonya's hourglass, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is rough for Natalia. But you have to admit, Yuzjin and Sheffer, I think anyone who's watching this game, that's an instant amount of respect now for these two players. I knew Sheffer coming into this split was going to be one of the most mechanically gifted players that this league will ever see. And you see on your screen, 56.8 thousand damage coming out from an 18 kill Ezreal. If that isn't a hard carry, I don't know what is, because I think the first two games we saw Zench and Kim Jensen putting out big carry performance, but this game in general, it was Sheffer who sent a message to the world saying that, listen, I'm not just here to play weak side. I'm a threat as well, and people better take me seriously. But on the side of the Wacky Wraiths, really big signs of life. And going into the split, like, bear in mind, you're coming up against a roster with such powerful individuals, and putting in a performance like this, you got to go into the split with big confidence, knowing that you play like this against some of the mid-table and lower tier teams, and you will take them down if you perform like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw both of these guys, Yuzjin and Sheffer going at it, but it was Zench who made the game-winning play. And it was actually Zench all throughout the series. This guy today was on fire. How good is this top laner?
Yeah, on fire is the right word. And to be honest, I've always known the ability of Zench, and I've always known going into the split. If people don't know him, I will tell you now, he is up there in terms of, he will be one of the best players, if not the best player in the entire league. And I say that with full confidence. And I'm not saying that from bias. I'm saying that from watching him play. And if you talk to him about the game, the first 5 minutes of that conversation, your takeaway is this guy knows a lot about League of Legends. And this is a kind of player who will prepare more than you. He will take more time to ensure that he's got the highest chance of winning. And performances like that, where he shows he has that cutting edge, he is an apex predator when it comes to looking for these game-winning team fights. Those flanks, those are what separates good from great. And he is edging on to that great. He is edging on to becoming one of the SLE greats. And if he plays like this throughout the rest of the split, we will see one of the new SLE goats in conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with everything you just said. I think we have some champs in the making, and this could be quite the way to rise to the top.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, before I continue my next point, guys, Savage Sandwiches, really definitely go have a look, get yourself a sandwich. My favorite is the teriyaki beef on rye bread. It's pretty good. So anyway, I think in general this was a really big statement game from Gucci Yin, and on top of that, I think one big thing for me going into the SLE split is seeing what this team is like with Obsidian coming into it. Like, of course, we all know how incredible Ace is. You know, his experience not just in jungling and the higher ranks he's hit, but the experience he has in a competitive sense. He's won the CWL, and you know, the Gucci Yin we see today, obviously he is playing these more tank champions, so on camera we aren't seeing too much in terms of performance or output from him, but I know for a fact that he is pulling the strings and making these calls to operate this team. And I think for Yin, the key thing is, can you play to this same level with Obsidian coming in? And obviously I'm not saying Obsidian is significantly worse than A's. Like, Obsidian, a player with a track record of his own, SLE finalist, and came short to winning that. Actually, you know, they beat us, Mikas, in a series, so definitely knows what it takes to win in this league. But obviously there is definitely a gap, like in experience and elo wise, but I think this Gucci Yin roster is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now talking about the Wacky Wraiths, I think this scoreline does not represent the story of the series. And for me, my opinion is that the Wacky Wraiths Y roster should be taken very, very, very seriously. And Mikas, maybe you can add more as to why that is.
Excuse me, I was reading chat. That's the question.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, I mean, before I tuck into this lovely bowl of Flace fettuccinis, what do you think about why people should be taking this Wacky Wraiths Y roster seriously? Because that they definitely put in a good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw them scaling kind of into these games. Game one, a little bit of a slap in the face. Game two, already much better. And game three, I believe they were the team projected to win this game without the amazing play by Sheffer and maybe by Zench. I think they had what it takes to take this home. And yeah, next team that's gonna face them, I think they are growing quickly. They're going fast. The next team is gonna face them. Might have a bit of a trouble. So if you're gonna get to play against Wacky Wraiths in the first round of SLE, which you can know if you watch the podcast on Sunday, by the way. Where the draw show is going to be held. Yeah, if you get Wacky Weights, even though they just lost 0-3, you should not be celebrating it out. This team is respectable and they should be reckoned with, especially if Yuzjin and Botner plays as good as they played today.
Definitely. I 100% agree with what you said. And I'll add to that, they've shown, like, over the course of the series that they can improve, which is something that is so important in a league setting. I think look at them in like 3 weeks from now, and this could be one of the teams that is out there to play like at the upper half of the of like the league's standings for sure.
Yeah, and you know, when we were putting together these two squads, we definitely we had the vision of seeing them both in finals, and I think now watching after watching all the show matches, what I didn't expect was the competition to be as high as it is, and I think I was confident to see both teams in finals, but now like watching these show matches and watching the level that the SLE has risen to, it might not be as easy as we thought, and my like, you know, as Mick has said, 3-0 scoreline, but it's definitely one we shouldn't be celebrating because the Wacky Race put up a good fight, and there are going to be more SLE squads popping up, improving over the split and putting up fights. So I think I'm really excited for that podcast on Sunday, because when it comes to conversations of who is the top team, I think it's really hard to pinpoint my finger on which one that is, because you have so many stars across this split and so many players that will improve. I'm just off the back of this series that we've watched, I can imagine all 10 players featured here, not Ace because he's the coach, but obviously, but I can imagine all 9 players here having a trajectory during the split that only goes upwards. And for example, like Yuzjin, a player who last split I said, I would have said was probably at the lower end of the mid lane pool, but after this performance, my opinion is that this guy can hit the higher tier. He can hit that top 3, top 4 mid lane pool if he wants to. If he keeps putting performances like this. So I'm really excited to see where this SLE split goes. And guys, do remember, there is a podcast this Sunday to go over a bunch of stuff to lead up to the SLE beginning split, beginning of the split 5. And yeah, so be sure to be there. Grab yourself a lovely bowl of Flace fettuccinis. Maybe if you're feeling a little bready that day, you can grab yourself a savage sandwich and top it all off with a Yomi's yogurt. Stay away from Itchy's Ica though, because that stuff is pretty disgusting. They are our sponsor though, so go buy yourself some Itchy's Ica. Anyway, that is it from us, I believe, fellas, and thank you all for tuning in and watching. If I'm not mistaken, this is the final show match before the start of the split.
I think there's going to be more.
There
gonna-
is one more on the Sunday. I
There
believe.
is one more on the Sunday itself. So,
And you're casting, Adrian.
oh yes, that's true. I will be casting. If you hear me eat on the show, it's probably because I've stuffed my face with a beautiful 6-inch penis. No, savage sandwich. So get yourself one and see you there. So thank you all and good night.
Man, I love FNC, Adrian. Best worker.